Hello and welcome to our season review of the Super GT. The first of 9 races for the season taking place in Suzuka in Japan. A few rules have changed for this season. Some of the races will be contested outside of Japan. As far as the rest is concerned, it's more or less the same as in the previous years. You saw some of the best moments of this competition flashing on your screen in the opening credits. We're on the formation lap before the first race of the season, under blazing sunshine and clear blue skies in Suzuka. And as the pace car peels away, it's not long until the start, and we'll be able to follow it as live with our Super GT commentators.
Welcome back to Suzuka, lap 20 of the opening round of the Japanese Super GT Series. Ralph Furman for Honda against Andre Lotterer for Toyota Lexus, and they're fighting out the lead here down to the hairpin on the lap 20. Ralph Furman really covering his options, but look at that, Lotterer's really got the power down now, and Lotterer is about to make the move. I think he's gone very, very wide at the 200R. He's tucked right underneath the rear wing of that M-Tech built Dome NSX, and into Spoon. He outbrakes him. Andre Lotterer then really piles it on. He only just keeps it on the island. I think Ralph had to back off there. He wondered exactly what was going to happen there. Oh dear, that was a great pass there. I'm sure we'll see that again. So for the first time in this race, 20 laps in of 52, we have Toyota entered car, the Lexus SC430, the U-shape car. It's still got the old Supra running gear underneath it. We're still looking at that 499 brake horsepower Toyota V8. Lexus absolutely determined to conquer first time out. Look at the way he passed him on the outside into Spoon. You don't see that in Formula One. You really don't. Lotterer almost riding up on those outside curbs, and if you get that wrong, you go off in the next part of the corner. Well, there he is already passing back markers and putting distance now over the pursued, having been passed, Ralph Furman. So Ralph Furman looking to try and hold on to that second place. In comes Motoyama in the number 23 Zanavi Nissan. This is the car that ran as number 1 last year when it was still defending champion. Now got the number 23, which is Nissan's factory number, because in Japanese 2 and 3 are Ni and San. You can make your own conclusions. So Matsuda is going to take over this car. That's Sugio Matsuda. He's the man who's replaced Richard Lyons, who we said has gone off to Australian V8 supercar. It's a quick stop. Only 2 mechanics are allowed to do the wheels. The rest, you have 5 mechanics on the car and all, but only 2 are allowed to do the wheels. You can see there, 1 either side. Off he goes. 4 wheels changed. You can work on the cars whilst refueling. That's different from the Le Mans regulations. So Matsuda rejoins. He at the moment will be, I think, probably in about 9th place when he rejoins. That car was running in 4th. Furman now under some pressure from the number 1 Zent Lexus SC. This is the one earned by Yuji Tachikawa and Toru Takagi last year in the Zensurumo Supra. They have changed to the Lexus, and in fact they take second place. Through they go. Tachikawa takes second place away from Ralph Furman. I think Furman's about to stop. They're just coming into the chicane. I think Ralph Furman was due to pit on this lap, and if he does, they'll put Daisuke Ito in. Where is Ralph? There he is. He's on the inside. He's heading for the pits. his car into second place, as indeed the man from Norfolk, Ralph Furman, son of Ralph Furman Sr., the man who started his career as chief mechanic for the Jim Russell Racing School. His son Ralph then becoming Japanese Formula 3 champ. We've got a spinner, Yamamoto. That's Yamamoto. He's spun in the pit lane entrance, would you believe? That's not the place to do it. Sakon Yamamoto in the Motul Autak Nissan. Doesn't quite know which way to get out of that. I think he's hit the wall. There's a little bit of damage on the front of the car. It's very careless. Yeah, you can see him opposite. He's to do the car park behind. But here we have the Peter Dumbrek car. This is Peter Dumbrek in the number 35 Bandai Lexus. Peter Dumbrek, who drove the Yellow Hat Super last year. He's one of the four teams who have got these new cars, the new Lexuses. There's still two of the older ones racing. He's got a blown rear tyre as he heads in. That then is Ito rejoining. Ralph Furman brought the car in, so Daisuke Ito, vice champion, along with Ralph Furman in. 23 car also rejoins. Matsuda now at the wheel. Peter Dumbrek struggling to get to the pits. That number 35 car, that won't help there. 22 car stopping then. This is the Motul Autek car of Yamamoto, the man we just saw stuck in the pit lane having spun. Mikael Krum, the German, he takes his car over from Yamamoto. There's the crew at work on the car. Only 2 men on the wheels out of the 5 who are working on it. Fuel going in at the back end. Checking underneath, make sure there's no damage. Heat, of course, not a problem today. Very cold here. It's only just about 12 degrees Celsius here. Spins the back wheels. And Mikael Krum has that car back out. Well, there is Ralph Furman. Where's he joined? We'll see in a moment. In that number 8 car. I think we'll find him in second place now to Daisuke Ito. Daisuke Ito rather driving the car, and he'll be in second place to Yamamoto, I think. Let's have a look, see where we are. First and second. No, it's not going to be, because first and second at the moment are indeed, haven't stopped yet. It's the 36 car, the open interface, Tom's car of Andre Lotterer leading. In second place, the number 1 Zenitsurumo of Tachikawa. First and second, I guess we'll put Ito in this orange Tata NSX into third place for the moment. We'll find out the other 2 make their pit stops. Here comes Ito, passing back markers, one of the GT300 Nissans. Interesting new cars here this weekend, one we haven't seen yet. I hope we will see it eventually. Is the Japanese Mooncraft Shiden, which is a car based on a Grand Am Riley, would you believe? It's engined, but a very interesting car for the simple reason that Shiden, for those of you who know your Japanese World War II aircraft, was the fighter that replaced the Japanese Mitsubishi Zero. That's a famous old name, it's been resurrected. Mooncraft, in fact, built this car as a sports coupe in 1977, raced it here, but this at the moment is our battle for the lead of the race. This is our first and second place cars. 36 car of Lotterer, the open interface Lexus, and right behind the Zen car, both of them are heading for the pits. They're going to pit together first and second, so this should put into the lead either Daisuke Ito or one of these may come out. We won't know, obviously, until they rejoin exactly how the cards are going to fall. Cars coming at the same time. The 46 car goes a little bit further down the hill, but there seem to be some real problems for the number 1 car, having problems getting the wheels off. You can see a bit of panic there by mechanics and marshals. They're refueling both cars, but that front wheel appears to be stuck. There we are. They can't get them off. Having a bit of a problem there. It's going to take longer to get that off. Wheels are changed now. It's taking very, very slightly longer for the number 1 car. Out he goes. He's still spinning the rear wheels. That was the 36 car we saw getting out first. This is going to put everyone. Toru Takagi following him out. Oh, it's almost a collision there with the Takata Dome as they came out. The Takata Dome, which Ryo Mishigami just handed over to Takahashi Togura. Here's Toru Takagi. Oh, he goes wide. He's on the grass, and Takagi's off. That's a big mistake by Takagi there. Just outbraked himself completely into turn one. And once you get into that desert there, it takes you a while to get back, and you do all sorts of damage to the car. You get dust and dirt everywhere. The tyres are off. There, incidentally, is that Shiden, the car we're talking about, just passing him. That blue and yellow car, most beautiful looking car. Problems, they had to start from the pit lane. Here we are. Let's have a look again at the moment when Toru Takagi, the defending champion, makes a very much a rookie mistake. Just cold tyres, turns in too late, trying to keep ahead of that Takata Dome of Takashi Kogure. This car breaks clear, the number one Zent. Left down in third or fourth place. Takagi lost a bundle of time then. He's fallen back amongst the Toyota MRSs and other runners. Not happy with the car yet, hasn't got it back up to speed. He's a little bit concerned about something there because other cars are passing him, but have to watch that to see if he's going to have to go into the pits or not. So at the moment, the car now getting back up to speed. Obviously, Takagi worried there might have been something wrong with it. He's checked it out, decided there isn't. Meanwhile, that appears to have put the Andre Lotterer-driven car, which Juichi Wakisaka's now taken over, into the lead. Welcome back to Motors, welcome back to our coverage of the opening round of the 2006 Autobac Super GT Championship here in Japan. All the pit stops are finished now, and I can confirm the race order on lap 33 is now number one is the 36 car of Juichi Wakisaka. It's the open interface Tom's Lexus SC430. In second place, the number 8 car, this car we're looking at the moment, the Daisuke Ito-driven Honda Arta NSX, and in third place, the number 23 Nismo Z of Sugio Matsuda. Pit stops just shuffling those orders around a bit, and Ito falling behind that Nissan just before the break. He's now, over the course of the last 5 laps, taken that place back again. And there we are, we have finally confirmation of what's going on. The green Takata NSX, the dome-built M-Tech powered car, the number 18 car there, which started from the front row of the grid, now being run by Takashi Kogure. He took that in from Ryo Mishigami. The number 1 Zent Lexus, not Supra, that's a change from last year. That number 1 car now in the hands of Toru Takagi. He's come back up to 5th place after going off in the first lap. Peter Dumbrek, you'll notice, overcoming his puncture to get back into 6th place and handing the car over to Naoki Hattori. There's that Lamborghini, GT300 class leader, and that is the car that has moved into the lead. Hinoi, Yasutaka Hinoi, a new name to us. In second place at the moment, Taku Bamba, another new name. Wada Q in the Trike Mercy RG1. So there they are, first and second, the 2 Lamborghinis. What an afternoon this is going to be for Lamborghini if they can just pull it off, but don't do that too often. Big puff of smoke there as he changed down that V12, 5.7 litre V12, and let's hope that is not the sign of anything that might be happening to that car, because Lamborghini have got so close so many times only to fail. Huge accident, you remember, last year we had at the rounds when one of the cars has crashed heavily by Marco Apicella. Lucky to walk away from that one, but those 2 cars at the moment are the class of the GT300 field. They've been racing since 1994, Japanese Lamborghini Owners Club here in Japan, and have not yet had a win. Could today be the day? Into the pits then. Porsches. It's the number 11 car, the Hankook Endless Porsche. Number 14, that is. That's Mitsuhiro Kinoshita. Now this is an interesting moment because that announces the entry of Hankook, Korean tyre company, into the series. We've got 6 tyre companies now. Bridgestone is supplying most of the front runners, Dunlop, Yokohama. Then we've got Kumho tyres, and we have also got Michelin and Hankook now come in and join the fray. So an impressive 6 tyre manufacturers here in the Super GT series for 2006. Still looking at the battle up front. This is as close as it's been all afternoon. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 just coming under the bridge there into the picture. And then right behind that green Takata dome there, the yellow hat. Tonika Z, Naoki Yokozimo, and Jean-Paul Lima d'Oliveira, who has come from Brazil. He was the 2005 Japanese Formula 3 champion, making his debut Super GT series here this afternoon. Beautiful sunshine, but that really does not show how cold it is. We even had snow here on Friday, and it's been bitterly cold wind. And Ralph Furman complaining during qualifying that the wind was really affecting their super aerodynamically sensitive Honda NSX. Whether they're running into the wind or had it behind them made a huge difference around this circuit weekend. Enthusiastic crowd as ever. Crowd that's probably a little bit disappointed they're not going to get the Japanese Grand Prix next year. The Pacific Grand Prix is still Formula 1, and apart from the name, unlikely to make a huge difference here. It's the Takata car in the hands of Takashi Kogure. This is our race leaders going through the S's after the first corner. Climb up that hill through a long Dunlop curve, very steeply climbing. 12 corners in all here at Suzuka. It's confirmation of the running order. So the Zent number 1 car still in 5th. The number 3 yellow hat Tamika Nissan of d'Oliveira in 6th place at the moment, 16 seconds down, but it's too close to call up front. Just 0.7 of a second between the Lexus and the little red Honda. Honda, of course, profiting last year from dropping their twin turbo engines and going to normally aspirated V6s halfway through the season. That's when the wins really started coming, pole positions and wins. And Ralph Furman amongst the winners, and Ito finishing as vice champions at the end of a very hard-fought season. So that 23 Zanabi Nismo car of Matsuda, Sugiya Matsuda really pushing hard to try and keep up. And again, huge puff of smoke from that black second-place Lamborghini. Looking more and more serious each time as he shifts down for the 130R into the chicane, then the Casio triangle as they call it. And look at that, Ralph Furman right up with the leading car now, right on the tail of that Lexus SC340. This has been a big move for Toyota. Toyota at the moment does not have the Lexus brand in Japan. That is specifically for America and Europe. Now they're trying to push to get Lexus in, and this is the way they hope to do it. Let's go out and try and win with the car called a Lexus, they say, and that's why they've replaced 4 of their 6 Supras with 4 Lexuses. So Ito really on his tail, tucked underneath, and all the time that factory Nismo Z of Matsuda is closing in on them as they weave through back markers. Traffic, of course, as in any mixed GT racing where you have 2 lots of classes, faster and slower, it's always going to give you problems trying to get through the traffic. There's a lot of traffic here. 39 cars started this race, and at the moment we have 38 of them still running. Lights blazing as Makisaka comes up, goes past the GT300 leading Lamborghini. It's the car of Yasutaka Hinoi, showing Marco Apicella. Got a good lead now, 17 seconds over the second place Lamborghini in the class. Look at that, that's very, very tight as Matsuda on the outside of the Lamborghini, coming into Spoon. Up the hill then, fastest part of the circuit. Not quite as steep as it looks from the camera. Then absolutely flat into 130i. You just don't lift off for that, but then make sure you start braking before the bridge because you've got that chicane coming up, and the chicane so tight. Andre Lotterer then looking on, seeing his car still in the lead. Blue-eyed German wondering, can they take that win today? He would just be so delighted, having made the move from Honda last year. He drove all season long. Sugio Matsuda won second place, that was in round 6. Mategi, but no win last year, so this would be a big moment for Andre Lotterer if he could take the win this opening round of the 2006 series. So a lot of races to go. We've got Okayama, second round, Fuji, 500 kilometers, the third round in May. June 25th, we go to Sepang in Malaysia. July the 23rd to Sugo. And then August the 20th, the biggest change to the calendar. The Japanese GTs run as part of the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers, the Poker 1,000 kilometers, something they've not done before. September they're in Motegi, October they're in Autopolis, and it finishes at Fuji again, the second time at Fuji on November the 5th. So a long season ahead. As we said, Motors will be bringing you all those races.
We're on the final lap now. The number 36 leading this race in front of the 23 and the N8 Nata NSX. A sprint finish to this first race. The number 36 absolutely flying around. Meanwhile, we can tell you that in the GT 300, it was the Lamborghini of Actio Murialago, the number 88, taking the first win for that particular car, winning the race. Just look at the number 36 go at Suzuka, taking the early lead in the championship standings, of course. The opening round of 9 events for the season. Some of the races being contested outside of Japan this year in the Super GT. This one not, though. And the 36 really doing rather well. The very final pit stops. And there it is, the celebrations. The flash of the headlights. The win in the first race going to the number 36 car. Well merited. Finishing ahead of the 23 and the number 8 Nata NSX. Remember, there was Murialago who won the GT 300. And we'll be watching the second leg of the championship from Okayama as live when we come back after a short break. For now, we'll leave you with the images of a happy victor at Suzuka, the number 36. Just remember, in the GT300, it was the number 8081. We'll see you again soon for Okayama, round 2. The second round of the Super GT season from Okayama. The big question on everyone's lips, will the NSC 430 Toyota of Lotterer and Nakis Saka be able to confirm their excellent result from the first round in Suzuka? Or will the Dome Takata or the Nata NSX, who came into this 2006 Super GT season as the undoubted favourites, be able to extract their revenge on the surprise winners, the NSC 430 Toyota of Lotterer and Nakis Saka. All that remains to be seen. The Dome Takata and the Nata NSX have revenge on their mind, and that promises exciting racing in Yokoyama. And you'll be able to follow it all as live with our expert Super GT commentators.
Rio Mishigami from Sebastian Philippe. They're coming under starters' orders. The lights are green. And a great start for Mishigami, Philippe and Yokozimo. Off they go. But there's problems behind. That's Peter Dumbrek just in the back there. He taps into the back of the Supra of Andre Couto. And Dumbrek and Motoyama in the Zanavi car involved too. So is Eric Comas, the Frenchman in the Woodoney Nissan Z, so a lot of damage there, at least 4, maybe 5 cars involved. I hope we have another look at that, but it did look like Peter Dumbrek at the back of that pack got involved and pushed Andre Couto into that spin in the Supra, the 66 Supra, going right across the pack. All this, of course, is played right into the hands of Rio Mishigami, leading from Sebastian Philippe, some of the wreckage out on the road. And there's a 24 car, that is Eric Comas, his Woodoney Kondo Nissan 350Z at the moment, stuck on the side of the circuit, just waiting for a push to get back into the race. Yellow hat YMS Tomica Z of Naoki Yokomizo. Jean-Paul Lima de Oliveira, the Brazilian driver, that's in 3rd place. So they made the most of that to get that yellow car into 3rd place there behind the 2 Hondas. This is looking good for Honda, it has to be said. They have not had a win since Twin Ring Motegi last year. Now here they are, 1, 2, and also in 3rd place, because that's the Ralph Furman car right behind them there. Ralph Furman starting the Arta NSX, the bright orange car, and behind them the NSX Epson car of Hideki Muto, the one he's showing of Loac Duval of France. And in the next place up, Mikhail Krum in the Motel Ortec Z. There is the number 1 car of our champions from last year, Toru Takagi. As we look at the race leaders, again just pulling out a big lead now. There's 2 Hondas breaking away from the yellow Nissan. Honda in 4th place as well. And in 5th place, this is beginning to look like a Honda walkover, isn't it? And there in 6th place, the Tsurumo car, Zendt Tsurumo, Lexus SC 430 Sports Coupe 430 of Toru Takagi. Carrying no weight at all, that guy, but the lead car on 20 kilos after finishing 8th at the last round at Suzuka. Mishigami making the most of that pole position. His first pole, incidentally, since TI Aida in 2001 at this same circuit. So Mishigami feeling very much at home here. Further back here is the battle for GT 300 honours, and very damaged Satoshi Motoyama carving his way through the field. My guess is these cars are going to get black flagged. There's quite a lot of damage on his car at the back, as you can see. This is the 2004 championship winning team. He and Richard Lyons, they tried to do it again last year, just missed out, finished 2nd. There is the Zanavi Nismo. So Satoshi Motoyama running this year with Sugio Matsuda, one of 2 Matsudas in the race this weekend. So down the hill to the lowest point of the circuit, down to turn 4. They start the long climb back up to 5, and indeed there we are. We've got a yellow, orange and black flag out for the 23 car. That is the Zanavi Nismo Z of Motoyama. So he's being told he's got to come into the pits and get that damage looked at. There's a fair amount of damage in the back end, as you can see, hit from behind by, we think, Andre Couto, who in turn had been punted by Peter Dumbrek. So if the stewards decide that is the case, the race organisers will be handing out stop-go penalties. We'll have to see how that pans out. Well, into lap 3 now of 82, 500 kilometres of racing around this circuit. 56,000 strong crowd here for Super GT. Japan's premier race series, always has been. Even Formula Nippon takes second to this now. This is a manufacturer-driven series with Toyota, Lexus, with Nissan and with Honda battling it out. Well, you can see the amount of damage on the front end there of Kuto's car, Dumbreck's car rather, the number 10 Bandai car, and you can see that damage. Obviously he did run into the back of Kuto, whether Kuto braked late or what we don't know, but we saw a lot of looking up by Ralph Furman. I guess Kuto jumped on the brakes and Dumbreck, Scotsman, had nowhere to go. Let's have a look at the start again. Here we are. Now watch Ralph Furman on the left of your screen there. He locks up pretty heavily as he gets alongside the yellow hat car. There we go. He locks up. I think Kuto jumps on the brakes and gets punted from behind by Peter Dumbreck. He runs into the back of Satoshi Motoyama, and all 3 cars are involved. Eric Comas involved as well. He got hit. And there was another spinner there in the background. Couldn't quite see who it was, but now those 2 Hondas pulling further and further away. It's the Takata Dome car, that's the car run by Dome Motor Company, and the Raybrig NSX, the number 100 car. Honda looking to repeat last year's victories. Didn't quite win the championship, but they had a really good go at it. The Raybrig team led by Sakatashi. Well, we got more damage flags out. That's for the 66 car. That's the AAA Sard Supra of Andre Kuto, running one of last year's cars. And also, I think we saw that one again for the Zanabi Nismo car. Now we got orange disc, Andre Kuto at the wheel. Here he is, and Peter Dumbreck getting the same as well. So all those cars being told they've got to come in and get that damage looked at. This can cause problems. There's a lot of carbon fibre shards get scattered all over the circuit in that sort of incident. In comes Satoshi Motoyama. Team have a quick look at the car, change wheels. That's the first thing you do. They're going to refuel them as well, and then they'll just check the damage on that 23 car. Car that ran as number 1 last year and on of their 2004 championship. They've gone back to number 23 because that in Japanese is Nissan. 2-3 Nissan. Makes sense, doesn't it? We always saw that in the Le Mans 24 hours, and here we are now at the circuit Okayama. Hard to remember back to the 94-95 days of Formula 1 when the Formula 1 circus was pounding around here. Suzuka was the number 1 Formula 1 circuit in Japan, but this was the second circuit. That's why they ran the Pacific Grand Prix here. There's a big battle going on throughout the field. This is the GT300. We didn't see their start, but at the moment, I can tell you the number 46 car, the Kicho Duretsa Nissan Z, is leading. Kota Sasaki at the wheel, but there's a huge battle going on between these cars, the Endless Advan Z and the Advan 320R VMAC of Nobuteru Taniguchi, the car we just saw making a pass there, that little white VMAC. Well, there is Kuto in the pits. He's getting the car looked at. Looks like all 3 of those cars that were damaged in the incident are going to be able to get back into the race. Plenty of tank tape. This is probably the most useful thing you can have in racing. Cars, they're losing a lot of their aerodynamic effect, and you can see how hard Kuto was hit from behind by Dumbreck, and then he in turn front end hitting the 23 car of Motoyama. Let's just check the order then. It's still in GT300, that Z from the Boxster. That little Boxster's gone through now. That car starting in 4th place. That's Hidechi Matsuda. Total Benefit Green Tech Boxster. Great drive by them. What we haven't seen anything of course, is the Lamborghini Murcielago that won the opening round in Suzuka. That was a great victory for Lamborghini, first time out, and they would like to repeat that this weekend, but unfortunately they're loaded up also with a lot of weight. I think 40 kilos is what they're carrying this weekend. It's one of the Lamborghinis just being passed there, the Murcielagos. That, in fact, is the car that won in Suzuka at the beginning of the season. So there's our overall picture. Honda, Nissan, Honda, Lexus, and Nissan. And this is the 32 car we're watching at the moment, fighting with the Motul Z car. The open interface Lexus, the 36 car which won the opening GT 500 race at Suzuka, and then the Calisonic Z. Benoit Trullier having just been pushed back by Andre Lotterer. Well, drive-through penalties, they're coming thick and fast there now. 36, 35, that's for Dumbrek. That is for the 36 car. That is the Andre Lotterer open interface car. Also for the number 8 car, Ralph Furman, this car we're looking at the moment. So those penalties are flying thick and fast at the moment. All going to be drive-through penalties. I'm hearing they're going to be 10-second stop-go penalties, and presumably those for everyone involved in that first corner accident. Ralph Furman presumably for making a move across the white line to try and pass the yellow hat Nissan of Naoki Yokomiza down the inside. The others for being involved in the collision that followed. And in comes the 36 car, Andre Lotterer. He's going to take his penalty. Is it a drive-through or is it a stop-go? No, it's a drive-through for him. So some of them are deemed less important than others. We are definitely hearing, though, that Peter Dumbrek will have to take a 10-second stop-go. So this is the new Lexus, the Sports Coupe 430, car that won first time out at Suzuka and is heralding the new generation of Toyotas. Toyota has never sold the Lexus brand in Japan before. That's always been an American and European thing. This year they're making a push to try and push the Lexus brand, the upmarket Toyota if you like, and this is how it's being marketed in the Super GT Championship. Furman then, still waiting for him to come up, take his penalty. Here he comes then into the pits. Is this going to be a drive-through or is it going to be a stop-go? We'll see in a moment. Comes down to the regulation, 80 kilometers an hour. It's got an empty pit lane. Ralph Furman, of course, coming back to the Japanese series last year after racing in Formula 1 with Jordan. Says he's much happier since he made the move back. So it is a drive-through then for Ralph. The man from Norfolk. His father Ralph, of course, Van Diemen Cars. And even before that was at the Jim Russell Race School as their chief mechanic at Snetterton. So a huge family racing history. Here's our race leader, Ryo Mishigami in the Takata Doman SX. He'll be handing over to Takashi Koguru later on. Getting that car nice and wide as he goes down the hills. Starts to climb up to turn 9, the highest point of the circuit. Very much a driver's circuit. As in comes the 35 car. It's Peter Dumbrek. Well, he's just got to drive through as well, so the information we got about the 10-second stop-go, not quite correct. It's a drive-through in every case. Peter Dumbrek, man who had 2 years in DTM with Opel. He's left the DTM at the end of 2004 and rejoined the Japanese series, which he'd done a lot of his early racing in Japanese Formula 3, in which he was champion, returning to the land of the rising sun. Here is the second place car, Sebastian Philippe of France at the wheel. And he's 3.7 seconds behind now as they go into lap 17. Sixth place car still, he's fifth now, the Epson car has moved up a place, Hideki Muto. He'll be handing over to Luc Duval later. And the Motul Z pushed back one place, that's the car of Mikael Krum. Mikael Krum had a good season last year, really came to the fore. Two very good second places. Had a win the previous year, but that wasn't to be repeated. But Mikael finishing fifth overall in the championship for Nissan last year. So still this battle going on. Epson fifth, Motul sixth, and right behind them the Calsonic Nissan of Benoit Trullier. So Japanese, German and Frenchman in line. Oh, and definitely Mikael Krum on the move, having a go at that Honda now. Maybe his tyres are looking... Oh, and ground he goes! Off he goes! Oh, it's quite a big impact. The Epson car goes off. Was Hideki Muto tapped, or did he go off by himself? Too close to call that one. But he's in the wall. That's the Epson car run by Satoru Nakajima, Formula One driver. Here we are, let's have a look again. Here's the replay. Well, I think he got touched. I think he just got pushed there. Mikael Krum pushed the car to a fast corner there, bang hard into the wall. He's stalled for the moment, but luckily there's a big tyre wall on the outside, but that has not helped Hideki Muto's moves up the field there. Well, there is Nakajima looking at his car. Nakajima, the man who ran with Tyrrell all those years ago, ran with Lamborghini. Great Formula One career. One of the first of the Japanese to make the move into Formula One. Fifth place at the moment, Mikael Krum. He'll be handing that car over at half distance to Sakon Yamamoto. Well, they're still working on that Epson car, but working to get it back into the race. That happened in the final turn 11. Oh, we've got another problem. Who's that? That's Motoyama. That is Satoshi Motoyama in the Zenavi Nismo X. Well, he had a lot of damage from that first corner. It looks like he's pulled off maybe a broken transmission.
Nothing really interesting happening in the GT500 race, the order not changing, but in the GT300 race, a new battle seemingly opposing the number 46 Kichuzan Z for the second place with the N13 Endless Z. N13 finally taking the second place behind number 27. Let's go back to the leaders with 3 laps remaining.
3 laps to go in the Takata Dome NSX. This would be the first win for Takashi Kogure if he can keep it there, so he'd be absolutely elated if he can win that. Ryo Mishigami, he hasn't won a race since Fuji 2003, so it would be a big day for both of them. Flashes past the Mooncraft Shidan. So as you can see, Kogure backing off slightly now, more than 2 seconds off his earlier pace. He doesn't have to push. His team is on the radio to him, just saying, keep it cool, keep it cool. You have got a big enough lead, more than 35 seconds. Just don't make any mistakes and keep it right there. Takuya Nakamura, team manager of the Dome project. There is the VMAC that's leading GT300, car built in Chigwell, raced in Japan. This car Honda powered. Called the 320R, the RD 320R. Uses the Honda naturally aspirated V6. 3.2 litres against the 3.5 litres of this car, the race-leading GT500, which is obviously developed to a great greater extent. So as you can see, backing off even further now in these final couple of laps. Takashi Kogure knows he's got the win. All they've got to do is get that car across the line. Remember, they're still on the original set of front tyres. 2 hours of racing, 300 kilometres. Shows just how light this car is on the front end. And likewise, the Raybrigg NSX of Sebastian Philippe and Shinya Hosokawa, which is following them. Oh, spinner. That's one of the little VMAX spinning there. Takes the car back onto the track. No harm done. I beg its pardon, it wasn't a VMAX, that was a Toyota MRS, the Toy Story MRS. Right, we're going to take another break. We'll be back for the final laps in just a moment. Here's our race leader into the final lap here at Okayama Japanese Super GT. The first win for Takashi Kogure, and a first win in 3 years for Ryo Mishigami. Great afternoon for Dome Motor Company, one of Japan's leading race car constructors. This is their Takata Dome NSX. And in second place, Honda's joy will be completed by the Raybrigg NSX, coming home in second, Sebastian Philippe and Shinya Hosokawa. Gaggle of traffic ahead, but we're in turn 11, the final turn, and the Takata Dome NSX of Ryo Mishigami, Takashi Kogure, who's at the wheel at the moment, going to take the checkered flag to the delight of Honda and of their Dome team. What a great win. We're going to have to wait a long time now because he's got 40 seconds over the second place Raybrigg car of Shinya Hosokawa and Sebastian Philippe, and in third, the Motul Ortec Z of Mikael Krum and Sakon Yamamoto. But this is for the line, this is for position. Yellow hat car for fourth place. João Paulo D'Oliveira just takes fourth place from the Zen Tsurumo SC of Yuji Tachikawa and Toranosuke Takagi. That was right on the line. They made a great comeback in that number one car, having to take a 10-second stop-go penalty. Without that, who knows, they could have even challenged the Takata Dome on the last lap. Here's the GT300 winner. Oliveira then into the last corner, and he takes that fourth place behind Mikael Krum's Motel car, and just ahead of the Zentsurumo SC in fifth place, the number one car. That's the car of Takagi and Tachikawa that won the championship last year. But today, only fifth place as the best of the Toyota Lexus cars. Here's our winner of GT300. Shogo Mitsuyama, Nobuteru Taniguchi take the win for Directive Racing, their first ever win in Super GT in the 2 seasons they've been racing this team, the little Directive team. British-built Advan, Honda Power, what a great win for them. And they beat the Gym Center Ferrari Dunlop of Tetsuya Tanaka, Takayuki Aoki.
Well, that's the end of this race. But we'll be back after a short break with rounds 3 and 4 from Fuji and Sepang. We'll be right back into it with the first laps of the race with our live commentators.
It's a mighty distance, and it's got a little crown to it as well, Tony. A little dip here, then a rise, and then a fall, but it's straight line speed, and by the time they come to the first turn, obviously known as the first corner, that is in fact what they call it here, it is an extremely sharp right.
Somebody's peeling off for the pits there, Carlton. That looks to me like the Toyota of Andre Couto, so they're starting with something of a problem, or not starting with something of a problem.
Nightmare scenario, Tony.
And there's the red lights, and it's Tachikawa, the man that most would predict Dumbrecht here. He's had 5 victories on this Fuji circuit. He's the current champion. He's starting in the car.
And we've gone to green, Tony, and Peter Dumbrecht is trying his level best to send his 430 round the leading SC. Lexus is then out in front, and this is a super start. They need to keep it tight here, but certainly need to keep it sensible as well as they come into the first curve here. Tony, it's very huge field compression going on, but they're clean through.
Tashikawa went through into the lead there, and behind him was Peter Dumbrecht. That was interesting, but then they're going all this way, but loose on that far corner. Let me tell you, that is the pole man, Kazuo Takahashi. He's gone. So has Sugar. I think they're going to be able to keep going, but that one lost them a fair amount of time. That is the first row, the pole man, and the man in third place, grounded on the island.
Yeah, the 300 starting as they do in sequence just behind, and the pole man already down and dusted. Well, fabulous conditions it may well be, but for others, as you can see, the nightmare just rings out. The Saab Supra GT, Andre Couto, the man who was taking the opening drive here, and I just wonder what it is, Tony.
I'm just getting it in my ears as I speak at the moment. Information coming in from the pits. It's alternator problems. They've got alternator problems there. Couto may be able to join the race, but he's going to have some big disadvantage. Meanwhile, Tashikawa has the lead. Dumbrecht in second place. Or rather, Dumbrecht in second place at the moment. Andre Lotterer is up there as well. Loic Naval is in fourth place as I speak at the moment. But the man who's won 5 times before is looking for 6 wins. That's Yuji Tashikawa.
Oh, and it goes on as well, Tony. This is a circuit that they're desperately trying to get up to Formula 1 standards, and essentially there's plenty of runoff knocking around here, and thank goodness for that as well. The 52 car beached for the time being. Lots of vehicles for you to watch out for, and the Ford GT is certainly one of those. Absolutely beautiful looking machine. The 300 class does hold a number of familiar looking road cars within the group itself, and it's a fascinating battle. Here you can see Porsche GT's coming down the inside. There's so much going on. Oh, nightmare!
I can tell you the car
braking absolutely desperately late there, coming into the right-hander. It is a very tight one. The field does compress, and you can see the safety line as well, which does force them out. And once cars are actually in the pits, well, they do have to steer clear of that line, both of them, to keep it safe. Let's have a look at it here, Tony.
Well, that's Satishi Matsusada there, the car number 110. We're getting the slow-mo. That he just couldn't get it round. He just couldn't get the braking right, couldn't get anywhere near the apex, and just slid on there. Rather lucky to get away with that, really. It could have taken 2 or 3 cars off. But I can tell you, it's still at the front. The battle that's been going there. It's Tashikawa rather, with the pole position man with the red silver car. Then Peter Dumbrecht up there as well, and this is really quite a battle. But what I'm looking at the moment is to see if there's going to be a change here, because that first car was giving some sort of a signal to the pits. I'm not sure what that was, but there appears to be something wrong at the front.
Well, a real sequence mess there going through and taking some shortcuts, and any perceived advantage will be punished, I can tell you, most certainly. I'm just trying to get an idea of it, Tony, but basically if you're taking a shorter route through, penalties do follow here.
Yeah, the stewards already are getting a report on that, I can tell you. We've got communication with the pit road as well. That is the 66 car of Andre Couto coming out of the pits. It did have alternator problems. They're going to hope that that is going to be all right now, but whether it will, we do not know. We're still looking at car number 1. That is Takahashi. That is the man with the lead. That is the championship leader, and Peter Dumbrecht is trying to hunt him down at the moment. We can tell you at the moment, there you are, that's the confirmation of that leader. Dumbrecht in second place, then it's the open interface car of Andre Lotterer. But I think there's going to be a change here at the moment, because something is definitely going wrong with that first car. It's talking to the pits as I speak at the moment, and there it is, it's dived. I thought he was going to dive for the pit road. That's the chicane though. I thought he was going to dive for the pit road. Dumbrecht's hauling that car in.
The gap certainly is closing here, Tony, and when you've got class behind you as well, the Suzuki winner, the open interface Tom's SC430, it's all about Lexus out at the front at the moment. What have they found this year?
Well, it's certainly going very quickly indeed, the SC 430s. That's further back in the GT300.
Being led by Jim, the Ferrari of the Jim Center's Ferrari, the number 11, the Tomo GT3R, the number 26 in second place, and it's the Hankook Porsche running in third for now. Just look down there, the 408R running in sixth place just for the time being. Zend in the lead, coming as he does across here, and just look at the speeds that they're mounting here. The track temperature as well is on the rise. Haven't got an exact centigrade for you at this time being. You can see the heat haze coming through. You can see bodywork damage as well. The 27 car has picked up some of the bruises that have been handed out here, and there's been plenty so far, Tony.
Well, I can tell you about 27 as I speak.
It's the Advan 320.
And that's one of the GT300 cars. That'll, of course, be receiving a flag to come in. But meanwhile, up at the front, what is happening there? There's going to be a change very shortly indeed. I'm looking to see if what we heard before was true, that Tashikawa had a problem. I think Tashikawa has a problem.
He's certainly slowing, Tony.
There he is. He's not anything. Dumbreck's the lead. Dumbreck's the lead. Tashikawa is heading for the pits. He's heading in slowly. So he's had 5 victories here. This doesn't look like it's going to be a 6th.
So Zed Karumo is coming into the pits. Tachikawa, he may have 5 in the bag coming to this one, but that certainly looks like a nightmare scenario for him. He'll be taking the short route into the pits fairly shortly, as soon as he possibly can, but he's being eaten up by the time being by all the 300, some of the Zeds going by there, and it's a sorry sight, I can tell you. So the Zed is heading in, and Peter Dumbreck takes over the lead here. The Scot in the Bandai Direzza SC430, he's come to Japan here. He knows exactly how to race this sort of circuit. His success last year with Toyota really built him up to such an extent, and basically there he comes through saying thank you very much, lapping his man. So the Zent is heading for a nightmare finish here, Tony, by the looks of things.
Certainly looks that way, but the leaderboard of course has changed now, because Peter Dumbreck, as you so rightly say, has the lead. So it's 2 SC430s with the lead. It's the Scotsman from the German André Lotterer, and then it's the French driver Laurent Duval. Duval with the NSX in third place as I speak at the moment.
The 23 car's got trouble here. The 23 car stuck, and the Nismo Z of Matsuda who's on it there, and he started at the back because of an engine change, and it's going from bad to worse for him. I'm not sure quite how he lost it. Let's have a look on. It was contact. It was contact, Tony. Just nipped in there. A little clip from the 12 car, and it was the 300 of Hoshino. I beg your pardon, not the 300, but yes, amazing.
A few laps later, a great battle for third place between Loic Duval and Eric Comas. Comas pushing hard towards Duval, trying to take third place. A battle between 2 Frenchmen. Getting in amongst it in the Super GT, amongst all those Japanese competitors. Duval and Comas battling for the bottom step on the podium. Third position. It's Duval in third for now. Comas just behind him. And this is a battle we'll be able to follow with our commentators any second now.
Somebody who's looking forward rather than back at the moment, actually. That's Eric Comas. Now, I mean, Comas really is, that French driver is really hauling it in. He's 42 years of age, is Eric Comas, and he's chasing a much younger Frenchman in Loic Duval, who's in third place at the moment with the NSX. But it's looking very clearly that Comas is going to be in a position to challenge very shortly, and I think Comas is envying that third spot of Duval's, and I think he'll have it very shortly.
Eric Comas working very hard there, Tony. Oh, look.
Donut.
Well, it's hardly a celebration donut, certainly not just yet for the number 12 car. He's back in this one, thank goodness. It's the calsonic impulse of Benoit Trouillet, the Frenchman, and our French colleagues. I don't know whether you can actually hear them, because in the booth next to us, they are screaming this one down. Betting just ahead of the Lamborghini, and he's got some building work to do there, Tony.
Well, Benoit Trouillet, I was just looking at the biography of him. You know, he started off in motocross on bikes, but look at that for the battle. There it is. There's really close racing, and really the big question mark being asked there. And I think we're going to see.
Well, Comas it was that really thought about it, and thought about it long and hard here, Tony.
He'll be through in a minute, I'll tell you, because he really is pressing. And meanwhile, up at the front, there's that threading through the eye of the needle situation.
Well, it's a battle of the Frenchmen with Loic Duval there sitting in the hot seat, the bird seat, in the 32 car. They have been almost exchanging paint. The NXXs are hampered here, don't forget. They're carrying an awful lot of excess baggage in terms of success ballast, and 90 kilos by the 18 car, which is why it just hasn't featured here, despite leading the championship coming into this race.
Well, Loic Duval doesn't seem to have any answer really at the pace of Eric Comas. He's trying to keep the door firmly shut on him, but it's a pretty difficult thing to do because it's Comas that's asking all the questions that I speak at the moment. I'm looking a little bit further down the field at the progress again, and it's Akira Aida, who's starting to quicken his pace up a little bit. And I think if Duval can hold up Comas long enough, well, there might well be a change there, because Aida will be with them very shortly.
Well, Tanaka coming through there, just getting the best of the 320 of Mitsuyama, and Comas and his little private battle with Duval racing on here, and it's a cork in the bottle situation here, Tony. He's looked a big time and he's got him. He's come down the inside. That was beautifully taken. He shadowed one way and then the next, and that little shimmy had been on display a number of times coming through the more technical sequences, and at the end of the start-finish straight, basically the speed that you were mentioning, Tony, that he had and held, and look at the gap already, 6 car lengths.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was being held up. I mean, Duval was doing all he possibly could to keep his fellow Frenchman behind him. But, you know, Comas, with the Fast Lady Z power, that Fast Lady Z power was working there. He was able to apply it. He'd looked on 4 or 5 occasions. He looked once before like he was going to get through. That time he made it stick. So Eric Comas now in at the moment, a long way to go.
In GT300, the battle for the lead between number 26 Tomo GT3R and the number 14 Hankook Porsche. The Tomo GT3R just with the edge at the moment from the number 14 Hankook Porsche, but that's how close it is. You can see it on your screen, and this is a battle to be followed with our commentators.
Look at this magnificent crowd, a fabulous view as well. You can tell why the Japanese are so into this. And it's still 26 and 14. The Hankook Porsche chasing his man down. The Tomo GT3R, the 26 car, out in front. And it's Yamaji who is leading us for now in the second class here. 300 horsepower on board, 500 of course for the GT500 class. It doesn't make it any less interesting, does it?
No, I'm just wondering, Carlton, I'm thinking whether they're going to make the pit stops here at the moment. I mean, we've got 110 laps of racing to go through for most of them, not that long for some of the GT300s. But I imagine by the time we see, another 10, 12 laps, maybe 14 laps, I think they'll be starting to make the pit stops. And that is going to be very, very interesting indeed, because at the moment, we're looking at the GT300 situation where there's only, you can see they cover them with a postage stamp first and second place. But there's only 5 seconds between first and second in the GT500 class. That's, the 2 SC430s. Okay, they're both from Team Toyota, but, I don't think there's any team orders in that. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do when it gets to the pit stops, and when.
Most definitely, and you have to look as well at the time differences between them. And I'm looking down even to 20th. It's still only 30 seconds. You can more or less drop a hat over the leaders, and that's a real credit to the racing here. It's very, very evenly matched, and the ballast system, I know we keep going on about it, but it absolutely locks them all together, and it's exactly what we want to see. The open interface running in second place here ahead of the Z once again, the Wudoni Z. We're just having a look at some of his lap times here. Around about the 1:36s, and that's not bad at all when you think that qualification, they struggled here to bust 1:35.
Yeah, I'm just wondering that quite a lot of people are probably thinking as they're joining us now, where in fact Teshikawa is having, as we've said before, he's the champion, he's the one they expected to go so well here. He hasn't had a very good start to the season either. Didn't have a very good start to this race. He was in the pits by the second lap, came out again after problems with a rear wheel. wheel, went back in there, had a fair amount of work done to it, and really Teshikawa, who I think we will see more of because there's work been going on in the pit garage there. But as far as any chance of getting championship points in this race, really, they're not there at all.
I haven't seen much of the Supras either here, Tony, and they seem to have a particular affinity with Fuji. They seem to have done so well for such a long time. And look at this, changes of position once again, and Comas just being eaten up here. Well, that's a huge move there.
Well, that's Lotterer, in fact, from Comas. I mean, Duval is dropping further and further back. I don't know what the problem is, but you know, it's certainly that the second place man is being well chased back now, and this is really an excellent drive from Eric Comas, no question about it.
Well, the Frenchman as well has more or less bedded himself into Japan GT. He's a huge star over here, much loved, and if Peter Dunbar can just follow his example, then in terms of the affections that Comas is held by the Japanese, it'll be an amazing thing. Going to take a short break.
Well, we're looking at the GT 300 there, and it's still Yamaji and Nishikawa. That little battle there, split by what? Split by nothing. I mean, you can put anything you like in between those two, a blanket, or you can cover them with a blanket as well, but they are keeping in very close company indeed.
They've kept it clean there, Tony. We've been watching them on one of the sub-monitors here, and you can see the time split between them as they cross the start-finish line. Less than a third of a second. That is remarkable at this stage of the race.
Yeah, in fact, the Hankook Porsche is now beginning to start asking the questions itself. There's a declaration of intent there. He's hauled in the last couple of laps, but a couple of tenths of a second. But having said that, he's very big in the mirrors of the leading car there, and that driver is having to drive both looking ahead and in the mirrors as well. But at the moment, it looks like there's absolutely no intention of Yamaji, or in fact the Advan 32R driver, of making any mistakes. He is driving almost faultlessly there, and there's nothing that the Hankook Porsche can do at the moment to get through. However, there's going to be pit stops, and there could be a change, and they may be keeping their powder dry until that ends up as what is like to happen. Look at the Toy Story car there. That's starting to come up. Instead, I asked somebody a little bit earlier how popular the Toy Story car is with the kids that go and watch this race. Numero uno. Or whatever.
Well, there you go. Well,
the Japanese equivalent is.
Kota Sasaki is doing great things on board the 46 Nissan Fair Lady, as they call it over here. The Z car is now up into third spot, and I have to tell you that the Gym Centre Ferrari Dunlop of Tanaka is on the wane just briefly. It is carrying a lot of ballast, but then again, I have to say, so is Sasaki with his Z. The one who is most crippled here is the 27 car, and is midfield for the time being, a full 50 kilos on board the Advan 320R, the number 27 car. So when you see the standings in just a few moments' time, watch out for the 27 and give them a little bit of a cheer, because they've got a huge effort on today.
A lot of drivers, I think, will be starting to think about the instructions they will be getting shortly about the change in driver and the first pit stop. Some pit stops made already, but not by desire, more by the misfortune of situations that have occurred. Just about 0.4 of a second between the 26 and 14 car. Not too far behind them now is 46 in the hands of Sasaki. That's the Z power again. This is all the GT30 class, and this is where it's closest at the moment. But I can tell you there's one or two other battles going on, as we can see the bigger class going through, and there you can see now, what I predicted before. I said that Akira Ida with the Mobile One, that's the Le Mans Toyota, is looking for...
Oh, there's contact between them as well.
But he won't get it just yet, and they contact again.
Oh dear, oh dear.
A little bit come off, but that car has been flying, and he's going to be looking again.
He's livid, Tony, look at this.
Right. He'll find a way through here, because there's a red mist coming over there. I think we're going to find Lotterer has actually got the lead. Lotterer with a slightly slower pit stop. Lotterer, is he through there? Yeah, 36. We have a different leader, Andre Lotterer. So it's still the same two marks of car. It's the Toyota Lexus SC2.
Oh dear, and look at that, it's a nightmare. That's an ill-fitted wheel, and he's back in. He felt the vibration, he was already heading back. He knew there was something wrong, and that is disaster after such a battle. Eric Comas, what can you do?
Well, Yanagada's aboard it now. That's not his fault. Whatever happened in that pit road. I mean, that car was flying.
Unbelievable.
They must have thought thought they were on for a possible overall victory here. All of a sudden it goes wrong, out it goes. They've got a seat at the wheel now. Really, that's end of story.
That's a real shame. Comas had nursed it brilliantly, taken it round. They'd made the driver change, and they're sending in some of the carbon dioxide here just to sort of cool everything down, just try and ease the situation.
But isn't that the wonders of this type of racing? Because we saw Tashikawa earlier on, 5 times winner here, the current champion. He leads it away. You think he's going to get, 6 wins. A couple of laps later, he's heading for the pits. He's got problems. He comes out again, back in again. And here we now have Comas, who was flying, getting closer and closer to the lead. Got himself on the podium from starting grid 11. Out they go.
Peter Dumbreck drove brilliantly in the first stint. He's a great guy, Peter. Very modest about himself, but he was superb here. You ask Peter a question, you always get a straight answer. You know that.
Well, he'll probably give a very straight answer to the young man who's in his car as well, because he certainly is driving a faultless race. We're into the last couple of laps. The Japanese flags quite rightly wave, and of course the majority of drivers in this are the Japanese. And a very interesting thing that Carlton observed earlier on, that most of the European drivers and drivers from Brazil or otherwise that are in this championship normally let the Japanese driver bring it home. And it's Naoki Hattori, 29 years of age, who is winding the last lap down. He was second way back in 1996 in the Japan GT Touring Series. He competed in Indy Lights in 1997. He competed in the FedEx Championship Series, but in the last few years, Naoki Hattori has not really achieved. Today, he will.
No, he certainly will. There's nothing stopping him now, and the final series of curves on this beautiful track. Such a safe venue as well, and well, you're going to see an awful lot more of this arena, I'll be bound, in the top end of motorsport in the future. I know they're bidding for Formula One status ahead of Suzuka. There'll be arguments about that, I'm sure. But
it'll be interesting to see if Andre Couto, who's laps down on this car, a couple of laps down on this car, if he allows him through, if Naoki Hattori allows Couto to go through. He's only unlapping
just to unlap himself,
because the last thing he wants is a mistake, and that's where, if you like, the experience needs to come in. But this man is
driving it in.
The checkered flag.
Yeah, the tablecloth is out and the lights will shine. They're flashing away. There it is, superb. What an effort, and just taking it off into the dirty stuff while the rest of those still racing around here.
SC430 wins, and SC430 will come in second with the Mobil 1.
And victory for Dunlop as well, let's not forget that.
There's the car that came from 13th on the grid as well. Second on the grid, they started on the front row. They chased after Tashikawa. Tashikawa went out of the race fairly early, although he's been back in it and he's been running since then. He's a good number of laps down. I think he will actually be placed, but outside the championship points.
Crucial time, Tony, was the swap over, wasn't it? We were very worried at one point that once Dumbreck handed over to Hattori that it was not going to happen for them, but they just held it, and brilliantly so as well.
I think Hattori has done absolutely. I couldn't take better words than yours. But let me just qualify for you. Not in picture at the moment. It's Shinsuke Shibahara and Hoyuyuki Yagi have clinched GT 300.
Just edging out the top story, in case you were the Toy Story, I should say.
So, Super GT round 4 from Japan's Japanese series from the Malaysian circuit of Sepang. We're just about ready to go racing on row 2. The number 1 Zenthrumo Lexus of 2005 champions Toyota Takagi Yuji Tachikawa, with France's Benoit Trillier and Japan's Kazuki Hoshino in the number 12 Calsonic Impulse Z car. And they're under starters' orders, and there's a big move there made by Mikael Crum, trying to get ahead of Ralph Furman, who's starting at Honda. But David, look at that Honda go down towards turn 1.
That's certainly got a lot of speed, and while the Nissan there got a good start, the Honda certainly had the power to get himself off to that first corner first. You can see there Honda first. Oh, and that's the Calsonic car really pushing his way in there, making the Zen Toyota really having to move out of the way. So that's stretched the front just a little bit here.
We see so many accidents in the Grand Prix there, Formula One Grand Prix, cars hitting each other, breaking wheels, damaging. These cars much more solid
very strong space frame front and rear. There's the number 1 Zent car of the 2005 champions. He's fallen back a little bit, but the rest of the field streaming out. GT300 is just coming under starters orders, and there we see the battle going on between Nissan and Honda. A lot of pushing and shoving around this track.
Yeah, the track is certainly wide enough. They've got enough space here to be able to do whatever manoeuvres they really want to do. You can see them there coming down there, 3 abreast into that corner. Very wide circuit here. It is a Formula 1 circuit that's used on the World Championship circuit, and these guys very much enjoy coming here to Malaysia to use this circuit to the best ability. That's the yellow hat Toyota at the back there. They had to start at the back of the grid. They had an engine change, so they'd been pushed back towards the back of the grid. But Peter Drumbrecht in that car, who won that last time out with his Dunlop shod car, but I spoke to him after the last race, and he said that he wasn't really expecting to be right at the front for this event, more so down to the difference in tyres rather than the difference in car. He's got the same car as quite a few of the other Toyota guys up there, but he's made a good start, starting from the back of the 15-car grid for the GT500 class here.
Carrying 60 kilos of handicap weight, and that's exceeded only by the points leading NSX of Mishigami and Koguri. They got 70, but Peter also had to have an engine change, and under Super GT rules you've got to run 2 races with the same engine, just like Formula 1, and so they got pushed right back. Anyway, 50,000 people here. It's the 3rd biggest event in Malaysia after the MotoGP and Formula 1, but much cooler today, David. 40 degrees last year, as we heard, but only 33 today, and it's quite a breeze, as you can see from the flags.
Yes, you say it's much cooler at 33, but believe me, 33 degrees is very warm. And then add on top of that, you're sitting inside a very enclosed car, a very hot car indeed, a car that you're racing, very high temperatures, engines, gearboxes, and all the oil and water temperatures inside there, which makes the inside of these cars very warm indeed.
Well, Super GT here from Sepang, and great racing right through the field. At the moment, Honda out front, Ralph Furman of Britain leading in the Arta NSX from Michael Krum in the Motor Law-Tech car, which Richard Lyons will be taking over when they make the first round of pit stops. Now we're looking at probably something like lap 27. It's a 54-lap race. There's just one routine stop in these races, David, and of course, unlike other racing, GT racing, Le Mans type rules, they can do everything at once when they make the stop.
When I've watched the races previously, the fueling is done separate from the actual changing of the tyres, but looking in the rules and regulations, and something we read just before the race started, I get the impression that they can now do everything together. So when the actual pit stops come, I'll reserve my judgment till I actually see the pit stop, and we'll talk through it when it actually happens. And I've got a funny feeling, like most of the other championships, what I remember certainly is that the refueling is done separate from the rest of the work on the car. But here we see this was a car that was involved in an incident on the first couple of laps, and Toyota's in here getting a lot of tape put onto the front. There's a great lump missing off the front of the car there, so they'll be trying to tape what's left on there so it doesn't get the air under it and try and rip even more off it.
Yeah, that's the number 66 car we're looking at there, getting that attention. That car was fairly well down the field. Where are we?
The Triple Sard Supra. It's one of the old Supras from last year that's out there, and
this is Macau driver Andre Couto's car, so he's not that far from home. He shares that car of Hiranaka. They had fairly bad qualifying, and he was involved, we're hearing, in the first lap incident. Quite a big chunk taken out of that front corner.
It wasn't just an incident, it looks like it was a very big incident. I mean, these cars have got very strong pieces of bodywork, because sometimes they do touch each other, do have little rubs, etc., so they have to be able to stand a reasonable knock. But looking in front of that number 66, it had more than a reasonable knock. It took a great massive lump out of it. Here we are again watching the number 8 leading car with Ralph Furman on board. I can see his lap times there in the corner. That's for the first 6 laps. All very consistent indeed, and at the moment he's obviously got a nice clear road in front of him. But fairly soon he'll be starting to catch the back markers. The guys from the GT300 class that started a little bit after them, the slower guys from that, will start to come in. There we are, you can see them just in the far end of the picture there. So he's got the length of this straight to go before he starts and catches those guys. And when that happens, there's a lot of overtaking to go on. And that's what happens with endurance racing. The overtaking is a very, very big part of endurance racing. You've really got to be able to not just be quick and not be consistent, as Ralph has been for the first 6 laps of this race with his lap times, but also you've got to be able to get through that traffic, that slower cars, those GT300 cars with something like 200 horsepower less. and probably not quite as good at handling because they're based on more of a production car than these GT500 cars. These cars are allowed to do so much more to make them go quicker, which is why, you know, they really are the fastest GT cars in the world. But these are the GT300s, and this is the battle for the lead. The endless number 13 car has been caught by the little Mazda RX-7, the number 7 car, the yellow one there. And that's a battle for the lead now. And is he going to go down the inside? Not quite. Had a good look down the inside. Really worried the Nissan Fairlady in front, that Endless Z that's there, and the car that we would call the Nissan 350Z. In Japan it's still called the Nissan Fairlady.
So Tetsuya Yamano on board that little yellow Mazda, and I have to say this car did start favourite in GT300. It's won here three out of the 4 times it's been here. Nearly had a pass there. This is very, very tight at the moment, so he's really pushing, getting plenty of slipstream out of that. He has a more slippery car than that Nissan. It's quite a bulky front on the front of this 350Z. Endless, by the way, they're Japanese brake suppliers.
They're actually Endless, yes, they are brake suppliers, so they also get involved with wheels as well. That's how I know them as well, because they've been around for a long time. I know we had some bits and pieces from them when I raced for Nissan in the British Touring Car Championship.
So still Yamano really tailing Kageyama, Masaya Kageyama. As we said, he was the 1998 GT500 champion. Stepped down because he wanted to help develop this 350Z, and look at that, Yamano really has got a quicker car at the moment, David.
You would have to say that, but on this big long straight we'll see what happens with the slipstream, and there comes the little Mazda out from in behind. Now you can see the Nissan stayed to the side to try and sort of block that inside line, not able to do it, and through the inside goes the
perfect
the little Mazda, absolutely spot on. The Nissan tried its hardest to keep him behind. Little waves, thank you very much. Obviously nice clean racing, no running into each other, no simply chopping somebody off, and that's somebody off into the pit lane behind. You see, I'm not sure who that was, but somebody disappeared in the pit lane and in the back of the picture there. But you can see how evenly matched these cars are down the straight, because the Nissan still tucked right in behind the Mazda there.
Oh,
so close.
Yeah. There's a big drop there. I mean, it really is about a 2-foot step down there, and you get the wheel over that. The car just thumps down the road as you can't go into that first corner. Then you've got a very tight S's. Now you're going out to the back of the countryside, heading down towards Langkawi corner, and out of Langkawi into a long series of curves out to Genting, which takes them to the hairpin at the far end of the circuit. So GT300, it's Mazda from Nissan from Porsche. That Boxster at the moment has come up to 3rd place. That's surprising, because he was involved with a collision with the Scheiden, the pole position Scheiden during qualifying. He got pushed about 10 places down the grid. So you're back with motors right in the middle of the pit stop times, and here we are, the 22 car now in the pits, changing driver, tyres and fuel, and we've already seen this collision just a few minutes ago between the Ford GT and the Endless Nissan. As David correctly said, that's a Lexus coming through between them, so just a change of 2nd and 3rd there in the GT300 class.
Yeah, the Ford getting its position down the inside, moved over on the Nissan, bit of a touch, locked the brakes up, couldn't get it stopped in time. Nissan did get it stopped, although he had the back brakes locked before he got there. So these two having a real old battle. So hoping that the Ford guy, we're hoping he hasn't done too much damage to that left-hand front corner, having just run into the Endless Nissan. So a real bit of a battle here for 2nd place. The number 7 Mazda gone off into the distance in front, but these two having a real battle. And how much longer is going to go before they come in and do their pit stops? Whether that will separate them or not, I'm not sure. But having had one bump already, I'm pretty sure that when they get together or get close enough, we may find them having yet another one.
I noticed the sponsor there, Doing. That's obviously very, very appropriate for that. But what I think is so encouraging about GT300, it is giving a lot of the smaller teams a chance to try these more exotic cars. It's been very much a sort of NASCAR type of sports car racing in the GT500 class, but GT300, they do give you a chance to experiment. That's why you've got the Boxster in there. It doesn't look hugely like a Boxster, but it is underneath all that. You've got the Ford GT, we've had the Lamborghini, we've got the VMAX, real classy cars we don't see outside Japan.
And that's right, and we've just seen there as the Endless Nissan goes round, in comes the Ford into the pit lane. So they're the one who's decided to take the pit stop first. They're obviously thinking, well, it's difficult to get past the Nissan, we'll try and do it in the pit lane. see if he can make a real good job of the pit stop. Oh, and that's one of the VMAX gone off into the gravel trap. I'm not sure which one that is. He's got the thing restarted, but seeing that gravel, I would think if he sinks a foot into it, there he goes. He doesn't go anywhere at all. And what's happened is he's braked late, he's locked the back brakes up, and he's spun that car off to the outside, and there we are. It's the number 62 car.
The Wilcom car we were talking about earlier on.
That's right, and that's the team that very much build or promote or look after this VMAC car. And we feel that while it is actually built in Britain, it's designed and promoted by that R&D group over in Japan. And there we see the vehicle coming to try and get it out of there. Four-wheel drive vehicle. It'll put a tow rope onto it and pull it to a place of safety. Once it's in a place of safety, then it's up to the driver to try and get himself back onto the circuit. But what they definitely need to do is move it from that position, because all those marshals there are in a very difficult position should somebody else have the same problem.
Very efficient marshalling, we have to say, here at Sepang Circuit. Always has been thus since Formula One came here in 1999, and very well trained. A lot of them trained by the British Motor Racing Marshals Club, and as always.
Yes, you find that the marshals worldwide are trained by the marshals in Britain. There's a very good club in Britain for the British Motor Racing Marshal Club, and they produced along with the RAC MSA a great number of documents to help you with your marshalling, with trying to recover vehicles, with the first aid and all the other bits and pieces that go towards looking after a race meeting when it comes to that side of the organisation. And it's thanks to a lot of people in Britain that marshalling throughout the world is a lot safer now than it used to be.
Well, so at the moment we're just seeing the motor car in fourth there. That's because Trelia has yet to stop in the Calsonic cars. Eric Comas hasn't stopped either in the Kondo Racing Nissan, and there's another car still between them. I'm not sure who it is at the moment. Might be that Raybrig car. Has that stopped yet? Yes, it has. That has stopped, but they're in fourth place at the moment. So we're still in this sort of virtual area of the race till everyone's made their pit stops. We're not know the race order, but I suspect that little Honda of Daisuke Ito is going to emerge still first overall, and of course that's the car that's ahead of this one at the moment, because they've both made their stops. So let's wait to see. This is our race leader you're looking at now. That is Benoit Trillier on board the Calsonic Impulse Z. Eric Comas behind him, and when those two stop, the status quo should be maintained with the Arta NSX ahead of the Motor car and the Calsonic car run by Kazuyoshi Hoshino. We just saw him there. He used to be the fastest man in Japan. That was his claim to fame. When he makes his stops, they're going to try and rejoin in third place. So that is going to be a super efficient pit stop.
It is. This car's really been making good time while everybody else has been out of the pits. It's really pushing very hard indeed. You can see the car really squirming all over the circuit. That he's obviously been on the radio to him and said, look, you need to push all the time and try and get the best out of this period when everybody else is in doing their pit stops. And he really has been working hard at that car. You can see it moving all over the road. You can hear another battle further down the field, and that's a Porsche and the pole sitting Scheiden there that we're going through in front, and there's the number 12. Is it coming into the pits yet? Nope, still going round.
Goes out again. Calsonic, that's the radiator division of Nissan, so just filling in all the sponsors today. They're unfamiliar, of course, unless you watch Super GT a lot, but as familiar as British sponsors are to us here, the Japanese just love to get involve all their industries right the way through. This is a manufacturer-driven series, and so many people want to be involved.
And this is really hurting the number 12 Calsonic Nissan. He's stuck behind these two GT300s. They're fighting between each other, the Porsche and the Scheiden, and it's only eventually when he gets onto a quicker part of the circuit he can actually use that power to get past them. But certainly he lost time there, and that will not be good for him in order to try and take that second place away from the number 22 Motul car that was in second before the pit stop started.
So there in the pits is Kazuki Hoshino. He's waiting to take over that Calsonic car on Benoit Trillier. Is that car, when it makes its stop, going to rejoin in the lead? Second or third? It was in third before the pit stop. Has it been able to improve? Maybe not, as David just told us. Held up badly by traffic there.
And you can see just how quickly it does catch the other traffic, but as it comes up behind, you can see them flashing their lights. They've got a little button on the steering wheel that when you press that button on the steering wheel, it will flash the lights for them. You don't have to actually physically flick the switch on and off and on and off to get the lights to flash. But a simple little button on the steering wheel, press it once and it'll flash 2 or 3 times, and that will allow them to get past the car in front.
And very soon, we'll rejoin our commentators for the very last laps of this particular race. And it's the N8 Arta NSX which is still in the lead. That despite its rather obvious cooling problems. Not too far away though from the race victory. And let's follow it right the way to the finish.
Really trying hard now, and up to 6.6 seconds now between first and second, so Ito very much on the ball and pushing hard with the Honda.
So Honda, Nissan and Honda are top 6. Lexus completely out of it this afternoon. To be very, very worried faces in the Toyota pits now after that. They could at least hope to salvage 4th and 5th positions. They lost those unfortunately in the closing laps. We had a problem, we're not sure what, back end for the number 36 car, number 1 car. This race compromised by a puncture in the closing laps, but this car no problem. He's about to go into his final lap, and Ralph Furman and Daisuke Ito are going to take their first win since last year. That win last year came, where was it? That was back at Sugo.
And there we are on to the start and finish, just to start the last lap now for the lead car, the number 8 Honda NSX. And I'm sure they'll be very relieved in about 2 minutes and 3 seconds time when that car appears back.
So Ralph Furman, the man who made his name here in Japan, Formula 3 champion, went into Formula 1, now back in Japan. So final lap now for the Honda Autobacks Arta NSX of Daisuke Ito at the wheel, Ralph Furman, who started it from pole position. This is going to be a great afternoon for Honda. It's going to be their second win of the season in just 4 races.
Yes, that's going to be a really big bonus for them, and it should move them to the top of the championship table points. And I have to say that they'll arrive at the next race meeting with a bit more weight on. They started this one with 0 weight, and so that has helped them, I'm sure, throughout the whole of this race. But the team will be very much on top of their game, and we'll go to the next race thinking, well, we won the last race, so there's no reason why we can't win the next one. And very much looking forward to it. And just in the background you see going past the Nissan number 22, which is the mortal car of Richard Lyons in the background. But in the background it has been all day, because a flag-to-flag victory it looks like for this number 8 NSX.
Yeah, so joy for Honda today. Nissan can be buoyed a little bit by 2nd and 3rd places, but the fact remains they have yet to win a race this year, Nissan. I'm sure that's going to come in time, but Lexus taking those other 2 wins. It was Wakisaka and Lotterer in Suzuka, and in Fuji it was Peter Dumbrick and Naoki Hattori. They paid those with hadn't have an engine change this weekend, and also weighed down by 60 kilos of additional weight. This car that's going through now, no weight at all, so that's the only car that's running on the limit in the whole of the GT500 field. 1100 kilos, that's the minimum weight, and that's what they started the race as, and they take the checkered flag then to win round 4 here in Sepang.
And I think that's you can see the flags being waved there. That's one very, very happy team indeed, and not having had a win since last year, they'll be very much looking forward to this. Ralph Furman looking very happy indeed with his sunglasses on, waving the flag along with the rest of the team as Ito came across the line. But here we see the rest of the people coming through for the rest of the positions. We know that Richard Lyon's gone through in 2nd place, and the Calsonic car now through in 3rd. This car, the Ray Brigg car, coming through into 4th place, and right behind that yellow Mazda in 1st in its class. So that's a class win for the GT300 for the little Mazda. And then right behind that you can see the 2 vehicles nose to tail, and the VMAC did manage to hold off the Celica. So the Direxif and Van VMAC 320R for the last 4 laps was very much trying hard to hold off that Worldsport Celica. So that's first, second and third in the category for the GT300. But the Mazda, having crossed the line, has stopped immediately afterwards. Now I don't know why that stopped, or if that's going to cause him a problem with scrutineering at the end of the event or whatever, but the driver looks as though he's wanting out of there for whatever reason. He's trying to pull the helmet off, the radio out and stuff like that, but that's quite unusual to see certainly the class leading car to go past the start and finish and then pull in at the end of the pit lane. He's pulled in very, very tight indeed to the end of the pit lanes.
So the end of the race and another win for the N8 Arta NSX. The car leading almost from the start, just a few laps when Treloya led, a few laps before his pit stops. In the second part of this season review, we'll follow it through to the end of the season with the 4 last legs of the championship. Before we leave you, just time to say that in the GT300, the number 7 Amemiya Esperadrink RX-7 won the race, but the Japanese pilot Iriri was so exhausted that he had to be taken out of the car by the marshals. Super GT is a very demanding form of motorsport, and that was proven in the GT300. We leave you with the N8 Arta NSX on its victory lap, and we'll see you for the second part of the season review very soon. Hello and welcome to the second part of our Super GT season review. We're in Sugo in Japan for the 5th round of the championship, which has been hitherto dominated by the Arta NSX. This is another fast circuit, helping the cars with a good engine. The pole man for this one, the number 1 Zen Sarumo, and he got off to a great start. This is it. Now very soon we'll be able to rejoin our commentators. This is how they live the 5th round of the Super GT season from Sugo in Japan.
In the top 6, this is how they started, but plenty of fighting going on throughout the field. And that Calsonic Impulse Z, though, of Benoit Trullier, that's coming up through the order now. He's starting to challenge the open interface. Tom's Lexus ahead of him, the Carl-Van-Dren. Oh, spinner! Well, that was just too ambitious. That started a long way back, I think. Trullier swinging wide onto the outside of that turn and then spins out on the hairpin that follows. There he goes wide there, gets it back on the track, but by then he's had it. The car just spins out, and that drops Trullier way back in the GT500 track. So that's a big blow for him there. That's lap 5. Well, one of the Porsches there backing into the wall. It's the Hankook Endless Porsche, and he's reversed it into the wall. Looks like he's broken a drive shaft because he's only got drive in one wheel, and that is not moving the car at all. Mitsuhiro Kinoshita on board that. That was into turn 1. Well, he's not moving anywhere at the moment. Let's see if they're going to throw the local yellow for that, or are they going to get the safety car? The car there on the inside of turn 1. Meanwhile, Toru Takagi still leading, still looking for this first win of 2006. They've had all sorts of problems with that car, but they've really got it hooked up today as they thread through this what's basically the deep ravine in the mountains, very forested. I was here about 8 years ago and very impressed with the track. Looks like many of the American tracks that we see racing on. If you think of places like Lime Rock and Portland, Mid-Ohio, very similar in that sort of layout. Drivers all love it. And today, the first time in the weekend, we haven't had rain here at the circuit. The starting temperature 23 degrees Celsius, and the track surface close to 30 degrees. But you'll notice still no sunshine, very, very overcast here in northern Japan today. Well, already passing back markers. Toru Takagi goes through, but Duval having a little bit of problem getting past the second of the Lamborghinis. That's the Trike Japan Mercy RG. Koji Yamanishi on board that car. Well, there's the rest of the field then, with a spin for Benoit Trullier, dropping him right down the order. There it is, down into 13th place. Took him that long to get back in. So still the Raybrigg NSX Honda of Sebastian Philippe leading the two Nissans. Traffic already becoming a problem after only 7 laps of racing. Just having a look through the what's going on further down the championship. Richard Lyons, of course, joining Mikael. Still running second and third, 12 of 81 laps now down. That Raybrigg car's got his hands full still of the 2 red Nissans behind him. Sugio Matsuda and Michael Krum. And then Andre Lotterer in the open interface, Tom's Lexus. Now interestingly, Lotterer, after the Fuji race, was penalised 35 seconds for a collision with one of the backmarker Porsche Boxsters. Well, the team was not happy about that. It dropped them right down the order. It dropped them, in fact, down to 11th place in the race. They appealed it, went to the Japan Automobile Federation, appealed against it, and the appeal was successful, and they were given back their 3rd place, so moving back to 3rd place in the championship. Well, just to make things difficult, that put them ahead of the 2 highest placed Nissans at Fuji. So Nissan has now appealed against the Japan Automobile Federation's decision, and it's subject to appeal again. So points are going to be provisional whatever happens here this afternoon, because that appeal still has to be heard in Tokyo early in August, we believe. It's a huge gaggle of cars here. It really is one of the big problems at these smaller circuits. Fuji and Suzuka, you can tend to break away and find your own space, but here, very, very tight. And look at this, a move for 3rd place. That is the car of Matsuda going ahead of Sebastian Philippe. And right behind them, the Motul car of Mikael Krum. So first time in this race we've had any change of note in the GT500 category. We've all got some problems here. Well, that's 2 cars getting locked up there together. That is the Gym Center Ferrari of Tanaka. Looked like a racing accident, but he's stuck in the gravel trap there at the moment. That was in fact the Ebro BTEC 350Z involved in that, the blue and white car. Suba Kurosawa. Difficult to see who actually started that off, but it's certainly broken up the lead battle for GT300 there, because that car was caught up in the fight with the Kicho Huzan Duretsa Z of Koto Sasaki, which is leading that class at the moment. The Lamborghini of Apicella falling back a little in the class. So here's GT 500 once more. Just checking on the order there. So the first major change we've had in the race, that Zanabi Z of Matsuda. He'll be handing that over to Satoshi Motoyama later. That car moving up into third ahead of the Raybrig NSX, but Mikael Krum will be handing over to Richard Lyons in fifth still in the Motul Ortec Nissan Z. So these cars, 500 horsepower, remember, from the same manufacturer. They have air restrictors, and depending on whether they're turbocharged and what sort of gearboxes they have. Engine, of course, is free within the engine compartment. You can keep it as it is originally. You can have it inline, you can have it transverse, whatever you want. Manual 6-speed transmissions, steel brakes, power steering, but no ABS, no automatic transmissions, and no telemetry, no carbon brakes. That's very important here. Flat bottom cars, front and rear space frames on the original cockpit with composite materials permitted for bumpers, bonnet, boot and doors. Where all sorts of national flags flying there, just indicating what an international driver series this has become. Might be a domestic series in Japan with just the three main manufacturers fighting out honours in GT 500. Toyota as Lexus, Nissan and Honda, but drivers pulled in from all over the world, as we've seen. British drivers, French drivers, even Andre Couto from Macau. He's here. Italians, as in Marco Apicella. Brazilians in the form of Gianpaolo Lima de Oliveira. And people such as Ralf Schumacher making their name in this series, along with John Nielsen back in the 1990s. Almost like taking a gap year to go and race in Japan, and then you come back into Europe and suddenly there you are as a front runner. Very, very good grounding in both Japanese Formula 3, Super GT, and in the Japanese Formula Nippon, what replaced Formula 3000 in Japan's equivalent of what we now know as GP2. Well, our forum on motors is up and running tonight, so do give us a shout if you want to mention, and tell us what you think of Super GT. A few of them coming in already. Dino telling us he loves watching the Super GT series on motors as some of the most exotic racing machines you can see on the planet. And he said for him it brings GT4 to life with the NSXs and 350Zs in their stunning liveries. Problem there, that's the Wed Sports Celica Matsuda, one of the Matsuda family going off there. Not a big problem. Spins out. Oh, and he spins it again, trying to get back. That's just too much welly, and that's going to cost him a whole bundle of time. Duval, third in the European Karting Championships, and really never quite made his name in France. Thought he'd go and try his luck in Japan. Finished sixth in the European Formula 3 Championship, sixth in the Macau Formula 3 Grand Prix last year, but this year picked up by Honda. There's Satoru Nakajima, who's always been a talent spotter. And thought he'd give Wright Duval an opportunity to see what he could do in this car. Well, certainly done a good job so far this season. Handed the car over. One of the Porsches in the background there, just being pushed off the track by our race leaders, and look how close this is now. This is Nissan about to be gobbled up by the Epson NSX. And that is for position. Let's see again. Here we go. Through goes the Nissan to take second place away from Wright Duval. And we have a change of order. We'll be back after this break. Perhaps force the issue. Motoyama will be doing all he can to thread his way through. Such an experienced racer here in Japan. There they are up the hill, a little bunch of GT300 cars. They're closing in on them rapidly. Neither of these drivers having put a wheel wrong the whole of their stint. Last 30 laps or so they've been like this. That's their problem ahead. Big gaggle of cars. Motul Z just crossing the line behind them. Richard Lanz at the wheel. He's closing in on them every lap. Still 27 seconds back, but it was a bigger gap when he took over the car. Satoshi Motoyama then now right with his back markers. Through he goes, has to carve his way through them. And if Tachikawa wants to get ahead, he's going to have to really force the issue now. Look at this, they're right together. Motoyama goes once. Oh, Motoyama's blocked! He's blocked, and Tachikawa goes through. So the first time in about 30 laps, Tachikawa's taken the lead here at Sugo. Well, great move there. Well, Motoyama just had no choice in that. He had to go one side or the other. He had no room to go back the other way. Look at this again. Here we go. He's going to go to the right. He can't do it because Tachikawa was there, and he loses out big time. Great driving. Neither of them touch. So this race has it been decided now in favour of our defending champions, Tachikawa and Takagi. Motoyama could do nothing about that. He and Matsuda, having done everything right in the Zanavi Nismo Z, carrying 10 kilos more than the car ahead. But look how the Zensarumo Lexus is now starting to pull away. Here's the battle then, still going on for GT300 second place, the endless Z Nissan. Tomonobu Fuji on board at the moment, and the Shiden having a go at it then. Kazuho Takahashi coming down the hill there's got a more slippery car, tries to go down the inside of the 350Z, cannot do it. Neither of these cars, of course, turbocharged. No turbos allowed in GT300. The endless car, 3.5 litre V6. Shiden 4.2 litre Toyota V8. So it's all coming together in this closing laps here at Sugo. Great battles in GT500 and in GT300. We're into the closing stages here at Sugo, round 5 of the Super GT from Japan. These are race leaders, the two red cars, the Zensarumo Lexus of Yuji Tachikawa having just passed Satoshi Motoyama in the Zanavi Nissan. After a fabulous battle over the last 30 laps, they're up behind a back marker at the moment, and is this another chance for Motoyama to come past up that steep start straight under the start gantry? And Tachikawa flashing his lights. They would like that back marker Nissan to get out of the way, please. Although he's not going to be in a hurry to do it, is he? Because he knows there's another Nissan behind. They come up themselves on more traffic. This is a chance here for Motoyama to try and pull the lead back. Can do nothing at the moment. Neither of them able to get past this car they're about to lap. Would be only the second time this season that an all-Japanese crew has won the race. You have to go back to Ryo Mishigami, Takashi Kogura in round 2. And Okayama for the last time an all-Japanese crew won here in the Super GT. Well, into the final lap. Look at this great battle then for GT300. I think GT500 we can assume is done and dusted. There is Tachikawa Just a few more corners to go, and he'll beat Motoyama and Richard Lanz. A 1, 2, 3 for Lexus, Nissan and Nissan. This is where the real battle is. Look at this. We've got the two Nissans, and we've got the Scheiden, and right on their tail as well, we've got the that white VMAC. This is our race GT500 leader that's carving through that. But look, we've got the 4 GT300 leaders all together now down that straight there as Tachikawa goes down through on the inside. Well, he gets blocked just for a moment there by the Nissan of Takabambu. Soon breaks away from there. But now we're going to have a grandstand finish in GT300. The gap is too big in GT500 for fireworks. It's 8 seconds, but it's GT300 everyone's watching. What a fabulous battle here as they go into the last couple of corners. Who's going to pull it off? It's got two Nissans. We've got the Scheiden side by side going up the hill for the last time. Oh, he's alongside. The Scheiden goes through. He goes through into second, but can he hold it? Can he hold it over the hill? No, he can't. The Nissan just goes through again on, and right behind them the VMAC goes through, and there's just 0.7 of a second covers the first 4 home in GT300. Well, that surely will be the closest GT300 finish in the history of the series. It was just absolutely nothing to call between second and third there, both on 0.4 of a second, and this is being measured in thousands. But anyway, the Zensarumo SC430 of Yuji Tachikawa, Toru Takagi wins GT500, and here is the Kicho Huzan Duretsu Z of Kota Sasaki and Takubamba winning in GT300. What a finish to the race. Sugo really has come up with some great controversy over the years, but this has been really spectacular this afternoon, and that leaves the points. Ito and Furman still out front, but Tachikawa and Tagi in GT500 now in second place, and that gives Takahashi and Kato in GT300 a big Philip in their move. Well, that ends our coverage today. Glad you could be with us here. We'll see you at the Suzuka 1000 kilometers in a month's time.
The NSX there, you can see in the middle of the picture, the red and white car. That's Ralph Furman. Ryo Michigami was looking very racy there, defended to the inside in the other one, the dome car, the NSX, and we are off and racing. And I'll remind you that this is going to be a long one here on Motors TV, as we settle in for probably around about, well, we know exactly 173 laps. Now, this is the 300 field. For those of you coming new to this, you'll see 2 distinct classes of cars, and they started at the interval that you saw down there on the start line. The GT500 should be at the front of the field, and a little bit more technologically advanced, 500 horsepower, got to be the same engine manufacturer. You can move it around if you want to. Manual 6-speed transmission, but crucial, no ABS, no traction control, no automatic transmission, no carbon brakes. This is a real driver's formula, Kelvin.
Yeah, that's right, John, and we can see the Calsonic Nissans away, but I don't think they need to get too panicky yet. It's a long race, remember, but he's certainly making a break for it here in the first lap.
Yes, that's Benoit Trellier, who's been in Japan. About 10-15 years ago, he was in the F3 Championship in France, came over to Japan, and has really built his career since then in the land of the rising sun. F3 was the F3 champion, and then moved over to sports cars here in Japan, and he's setting a cracking pace early on. Bit of a battle going on behind, with a couple of the NSXs having a little internecine battle. Almost, in fact, that's one of the Nissans there in similar colours to the car ahead of which is the NSX, and that's still got the Supras in here as well, which look fantastic. This is really sports car racing at its most pure. These cars with no driver aids, outlandish bodies, and sports car racing for the, I suppose, for the console generation, and still loads of battles going on. It's at the end of the first lap of 173, the GT500 field. Interesting as well, Kelvin, that almost all of the GT500 field have at least one European driver in them.
Yeah, that's right, John, and remember, this is a longer race than normal. It's a 1,000-kilometre race, so it's not unusual to have a third driver. Normally the races are shorter and they have 2 drivers, but we're getting replay of that move.
And they got a bit close there, coming down into the first corner.
Yeah, he passed him. That's the Nissan passing the Honda into the first corner.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, normally they run 2 drivers, but a lot of them have invited a foreigner for this longer race, and to make use of the 3rd drivers, just to give them a rest, really, so that they don't get too tired between the 2 of them.
That was Eric Comas making the pass. He's teamed up with Matsukaka Yanagida and Seiji in that team, so by no means a bunch of rabbits in that one. Welcome back to Motors TV coverage of the Poker 1000K, and in the pit lane, more pit stops now. This is one of the SC430s, the Lexus in the pit lane. Started 13th, that's the Andre Lotterer car. He'll be handing that off to either Wakisaka or Adrian Sutil. Meantime, here is the battle for 2nd place in GT300. 3 different cars. One of the Murcielagos there in 3rd place as we quickly flick back to 2nd position. Now this is gradually been closing down as Furman has closed in on Comas. Coming around to lap 25 now of 173. Put that one down, write it down for later, because it will become important. 1,004 kilometres. Both of them in the pit lane. Oh, now it's going to be down to the pit crews then. And remember, Le Mans rules apply here. Can't touch the car apart from driver changes whilst the fuel's going in, and that's tremendously frustrating.
And effectively here, Furman's got track position because his team are situated further down the pit road, so it's up to the Nissan team of Comas to turn that car around quicker so that they can get out back in front of the Nissan.
Masataka Yanagida getting in the Comas car, and Ralph Furman will hand over to his normal teammate Daisuke Ito. There's the leader, who has not yet pitted. No, that's not the leader, my apologies. It's now 3rd place car, who of course is making up some positions. Long stops, but remember they can't do the tyres until the fuel's gone in, and fuel is just on a gravity feed. And I think the NSX has jumped them there. Not a great stop by the Nissan team. Well, we say that sports car racing in any way, shape and form is certainly a team sport, and well, has the Nissan been jumped by another car there as well, or is that a 300? No, I think they've lost 2 positions in the pits there, Kelvin, so clearly not an effective stop by the Comas team.
No, it's a bad stop, and he looks slow coming out of the pits as well. He didn't seem to accelerate away. It looks all right now, but here comes the leader. He's going to put a lap on them.
Was this a pit stop, of course, though, and this is Trellier, who has set a cracking pace. I wonder how much longer he can go on. Be timed on fuel, of course. Everyone wants to use the absolute dregs of the fuel. This is this battle in 300 again. 2nd, 3rd and 4th, I believe. That's fantastic, isn't it, seeing those different cars coming out of the hairpin. And I don't know what we're seeing here. Oh dear. Now, is that a lot? Oh, he looks like he's had a little push there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's had a shove from behind.
And looking through, I think that was the Kageyama Endless Advan car that he shares with Tomonobu Fuji. And they were 3rd on the grid to start with. One of the front-running 300 cars had a little helping hand there. Now, here's the Ford GT. Delighted to see this finally getting into some international racing. Ford don't seem to be interested in doing it. This has been an effort that has originated here in Japan. It does look good. It's a little bit, dare I say, it looks a little bit lardy though, doesn't it? It's just, it just needs to shed a few pounds. Doesn't look quite as taut as it should do.
No, and he locked up there. Let's see if the Nissan gets a run back on him.
Very
down
long,
the straight.
Very long wheelbase on the Ford as well, which should make it fairly stable. The Nissan behind it, the car immediately behind it, does look much shorter between the wheels. Another one of those specials that Kelvin was talking about. I'll get right in a minute. Only worked with them a million times. Right, here's the 47. This is the Doretsa Z. Yoninobu Yasuda getting out. Masayoka Nagashima getting in. Started in 5th position. Oh, this is all getting terribly, terribly mixed up now as out comes the 22, which rejoins after its pit stop. So we've got both classes. Michael Crum has given that car over to Richard Lyons now in that 22. That was the Ortec Z, Nissan Z, and here's that battle again. That Ford just looks like it's been ironed flat, doesn't it? It's fantastic.
Very low, yeah. Of course, which is what the GT40 was famous for, because it was only 40 inches high, and I believe the new one's a bit taller.
Yeah, it is.
It's a bit of a cheat, yeah.
Actually, you don't realise how much difference there is between them. I saw a pair of them at Silverstone, a new one and an old one, and the old one is tiny compared to the new one in every way, length, breadth and certainly height. Now, we've got some of the lead runners coming through this battle for the top positions in 300, and again, headlights being used. Ralph Furman was doing that to great effect earlier on, and Daisuke Ito continues on the same theme. And you can see just how much an advantage you can get if you can get through there quickly. Barely had to lift there.
Yeah, he's away. Made good work of them, and they're still tooth and nail in their own battle. Look, they're very evenly matched, these 3 cars. Totally different cars, but not one of them can get away.
That little special looks a bit like an old Porsche, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it doesn't look as fast on the straight as looking at the shape of the car you think it would be. There's the Zent, that'll be a Lexus there, the one that's just gone through, and this is a close battle here. Zana v Nissan. And Comas at the back of that group.
Very, very good stop indeed. We've thought about 50 seconds, 42 and a half. Now we need to see back down the start-finish straight. As people running in the pit lane, never a good sign, and that's why someone has ground to a halt.
That's the 300
It's
Nissan.
that endless car. Yeah, oh, that's a disaster. 3rd place qualifier in GT300 was running well up in the top 6, having that great battle, and that car has failed to exit the pit lane. Oh dear. And it is Fuji in the car. We just saw them change over. They're going to allow them to push it back down the pit lane. You're not allowed to reverse down the pit lane, but you're allowed to be pushed. But it's always fraught with potential disaster. Can't get the car moving. It's stalled and stuck in gear. Oh dear. Might suggest a clutch problem.
Something's jammed, unless the suspension's moved, and it's jamming the... No, he's off now. They seem to be looking at the front wheel before it started moving.
Meanwhile, behind, that's the yellow hat car coming in. Oh, now, I'm not an engineer from Dearborn, but that is not right, is it? On the front of that Ford.
It has lost some weight, at least, so you should be able to be better.
It may not be quite as aerodynamically efficient. That's on the far side of the circuit, and you can clearly see the DHG branding there. It's not looking its best from that angle. Now, what happened there? It's the faster cars coming through. Oh, that's what... Oh, is that the 8 car going through there? Oh, that's... Well, he's moved over a bit there. Racing incident, or are we going to call that a problem with the...
Well, it was being lapped by the Zanavi Nissan, the 500 class.
Yes, that was Ide, wasn't it? Yuji Ide, who's in that car now. I thought that was the Furman car, but not. So is he meant to get out the way, or is the faster car meant to drive around him, Kelvin?
Well, good argument, isn't it? But he certainly didn't make much attempt to get out of the way. And the next corner was after that as a right-hander, and he didn't sweep left to take the natural line into the right-hander either. So 50-50, I suspect. But these guys in the 500 cars, they're pushing on a lot harder than the 300s. I have to say, the competition is more fraught, and they're not going to give an inch.
And as you can see, lost time due to that incident. That is the car. The Zanavi Nismo. Toshugo Matsuda started the car. Yuji Ide in that car. He's got 50 kilos of ballast on that car, and he's racing with a car that has none. So he's clearly wanting to make the best of it. may just have slightly overstepped the mark there. It was at this point that the incident happened. Now, this is a drive-through penalty for the Nismo of Yuji Ide. There he is. Now, we haven't got the full details as yet, but I can only presume that was for avoidable contact. We saw, remember earlier on, this car getting together with the Ford GT, Kelvin Burt.
Yeah, that's right. They tend to punish contact like that in Japan with drive-through or stop-go, and we did see that contact with the Ford, and well, he's going on by for another lap.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's may have just gone out over the pit lane. We've just seen it. So the rule normally is you've got 3 laps to come in before it all starts getting a bit unnecessary. The chap hanging it out there doesn't look too happy, does he? Really? Body language not good from that official.
Of course, the driver's got radio to the team, so they'll be calling him in also.
Now, the opportunity is, of course, for the team manager to run down to the clerk of the course and say, whoa, what's this for? And try and argue his case, but he's only got 5 or 6 minutes, because that's 3 laps around here before the officials will take a dim view of this. But it is, it's the part of the team manager. And keep saying about this, the same as pit stops. It's a team sport, and people in the past, like I think particularly of good team managers like Hugh Chamberlain, who chef to keep, like Hugh Chamberlain, or Phil Barker, who runs the RML team at Le Mans, they'll be jogging down the pit lane as soon as they hear about a penalty for their car to find out what it's for and whether they can maybe mitigate some of the circumstances. And that, I'm sure, will be going on at the moment. And at the moment, Yuji Ide is continuing at racing speed until his team tells him to come into the pit. And that clearly, it's not the driver's job to have to worry about that. He's waiting for the call from the pit lane, Kelvin.
Yeah, that's right. He needs to just keep pressing on. He may be asking them on the radio, what's it for or what's the problem, but his job is to stay out there and go as fast as he can, obviously staying within the letter of the law. So they can be quite officious in Japan, so what he doesn't want to do is upset the officials by ignoring what he's supposed to do. Let's see, he's approaching the last corner here, the chicane. Let's see if he pulls in.
Well, we know he's gone by once. We've seen him go by once, and to me, I don't think he's coming in there. No, he's gone by. He's gone by. So again, he'll see the D and the 23, his number. And it's amazing, actually. You do see that quite easily. People say, do you see it? Yes, you do, because you're looking there. And if there's something hung out there, even if it's not your number, particularly if it's a black flag or a black and orange flag, it tends to catch your eye because you're not used to seeing something on the starter stand.
That's right, and it's high up there, just at the end of the straight, at the end of the pit wall. So he couldn't really miss it, but he could say, I suppose, that he was slipstreaming past that 300 car. He was tucked right under the back of it as he went past. But we think he's got this and one more lap,
perhaps
before he's in trouble.
It is odd how much you do notice when you're in a race car, even when you're quite busy, if you see something that's not supposed to be there, particularly that catches your eye, and even in when it's wet or difficult conditions. Now that's changed.
Black flag, yeah, that's more of a problem. So he'll now have to stop, and either the car's been excluded or he'll have to go up and get a big smack on the wrist and for not obeying the first order.
So it's now escalated. You will have seen that board before was a D for drive-through. Works slightly different in Japan. You might see a black flag with your number on it over here, which means report to the pit lane over in the UK. But that now seems to me that Ide has really dropped himself and the team in it. Hard to apportion blame here for what's going on now. Ide was at the wheel when the incident occurred, and I just wonder whether the team have argued their case and not been heard, whether they can't get in touch with him. But it's very unusual, this, Kelvin, particularly in one of these the 500 teams, because they are very, very professional.
Exactly. He's a pro driver. He should know the regulations. He should look at his pit board every lap. He should be on the radio. He's going again.
I don't believe this.
There's going to be a storm when he finally does stop. I don't know how they're going to stop him, but...
Well, And this could have repercussions far beyond this race now.
Yeah, he could get some sort of penalty to his licence or to future participation.
The guy who's hanging the board out now is frankly looking bored.
His arms
himself.
are tied. His arms are tied, that's for sure.
The board's got progressively lower and lower. There's the team. And, well, hard to tell, isn't it? Hard to tell with the body language of the guys in the pit lane, whether they're annoyed, whether they're disappointed, whether they're completely ignoring it themselves. I don't know what to say about this, Calvin. I've never seen anything like this.
I haven't seen the team waving frantically or even putting a board out. They're obviously just trying to talk to him on the radio, but I guess there's a chance the radio's not working, and if I were them, I'd be waving and jumping up and down on the pit wall to get him in.
Presumably he's got a pit board from his own team as well, and you know, really that's got to be saying in, or whatever the Japanese equivalent is.
Yeah, unfortunately we haven't seen that as he's gone past the pits. All we've been shown the black flag, which is at a different point. It's not at the point where his team are sat. So it'd be good to see whether they're jumping up and down and throwing stuff at him as he comes past. So a couple more corners and he's about to start another lap.
Well, this is at least 5 times and possibly more. We've seen it 5 times from when we picked up that first shot of the drive-through board as it was then. It's now escalated to a black flag. The number 23 has been hung out over the start-finish line for half a dozen laps as he comes round this time. And the Yuji Ide driven car, this is the Zanavi Nismo 350Z, running well up, qualified in 7th place, and has been a factor in this race. And remarkably, he's gone round again.
Here we go, look, there's his team.
Well, now that's the first time we've seen them do that. They may have been doing that earlier.
Surely he can't miss that. He's got no excuse if he...
Because you do look to, you know where your pit board is, you look at that point. If you look nowhere else down the pit wall, you look there.
Well, I mean, I could see a 2-foot wide arrow from the other end of the circuit, so I don't really know what excuse he's got. He's got to pull in at the end of this lap.
Well, this is quite remarkable. There's the guys, and they're saying, look, no, I hung it out. Look, there it is. There's the arrow. It's orange. We've hung it out. We've hung the penalty board out. Now, I think this guy at the left here is saying, wave it at him this time. Maybe he can't see it. Now, the team manager there is the chap in the shades, and he's clearly getting now a bit animated. This is the first time we've seen this, and now I think they're starting to realise just how serious this might be.
Yeah, that this could be problems for the team. I don't know what the sanctions are in the regulations in Japan, but
I've got a feeling it's not the last we're going to hear of this.
It reflects on the team as well as the driver. They employ the driver, and it's up to them to control him.
And they've got sponsors to think about, they've got the rest of the championship to think about, and you know, Yuji Ito is one of the main drivers in this team, and if he was to get a ban, it could impact the rest of their season. Surely he's got to come in this time. Stevie Wonder on a dark night could have seen that last signal.
Yeah.
And it's a long straight. It's not as if, you know, you're busy coming onto the straight and you're straight away doing something else here at Suzuka. It's, you know, it's a long straight, and that was from his team.
He's in.
Oh, finally! Is this Ito? It is. Ito's in. Ito in. Is into the pit lane. Well, what sort of reception is he going to get from the team? I think he's driven past his team. He's done the drive-through.
No.
Well, it goes from bad to worse. He's done the drive-through, finally. Well, he's going to claim, isn't he, rightly or wrongly, that he never saw that until they put out... Oh, and he's getting right in the way. Oh. Is that Dumbreck's car?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Dumbreck's given that car over, hasn't he, now to Hattori. And, well, as out goes the number 1 car.
Fast stop, that, 40 seconds.
Anything around about 40 seconds is quick. We thought 42 and a half was quick earlier on by the leader. Well, I'm sure we're going to talk more about this, Kelvin, because clearly to me, Yuji Ide is going to claim that he didn't have a radio and that he only came in when he saw the penalty board. He feels he's done the penalty now, but I wonder how this is going to be affected. What we need to see next time around is whether there's still the black flag out for him.
Well, the original penalty was a drive-through, which he's taken, but that was changed to a stop. Black flag is stop, and you get out and you have a talking to. So he's now going to get a bigger talking to than he was.
Longer.
Yeah.
Now, you've raced over here, and as you've said, they don't like any form of dissent. I mean, is he flirting with exclusion here?
He probably is, yeah. Yeah. They are fairly officious, and you've got to behave properly and show some respect to the rules and regulations.
Right, well, we await to see what happens there as we're looking at these battles in the 300 class with the 500 series going through them, and this is going to be the pattern of the race now right at the end of the 173 laps.
And Ide's right in the middle of this, of course, so he's going to be yet again distracted.
Now, is he coming in again? Is he coming in again?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Now, that means he must have radio, because he hasn't been past the pits again.
That's right, yeah.
So somebody's told him, no, it wasn't a drive-through, mate. You're going to have to come in and stop. Right. Now, I am so interested to see what the team do here as he stops. Ide up. Well, there's not any degree of hustle there, is there? And they're asking him to get out of the car.
They look quite resigned. Yeah, he's out.
They're not. There's no fuel going into that, Kelvin.
No.
And was that it? That's an official.
In the blue. He's telling him where to go.
Yeah, in the
Take
nicest
walk
possible
up there.
sense. Take the walk of shame. Now, what's he saying? Let's see if he points to his helmet and says, I can't hear. No, what? I never did anything, honest. No, we called you in 17 times, mate. And what's happened now? Do you know, Kelvin, I think they've excluded that car. I think that's it, game over. He'll ease off here, so he gets the nice photograph with no one else in the picture, moves across to the pit wall, and wins it in some style. As we wait to see Michael Crum, Richard Lyons come across the line. Now, Fabio Carboni hasn't been in that car either. They're a long, long way back. But again, and this is unofficial, just by my addition, I reckon that will move Michael Crum up to the lead of the championship by 1 point from Ralph Furman and Daisuke Ito, who will come home in 6th position. We saw them just steal that last position in the darkness a couple of laps ago as the pace car is out on the back straight to pick them up. The race is over. Get a controlled slowdown lap. How very organised.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
How very organised. Well, this has been a tremendous race. There is the 300 winner in the darkness, the 52 pole sitter, the tyre oil Kumho Salika, and Kumho taking the honours. Should mention, by the way, the winner in the 500 class. That's the first win this season in 6 races for the 350Z, the car that was so dominant in the championship last year. So the Calzonic team take the victory for Nissan, and the Teo Oil Kumho team for Toyota. There it is, a full lap on the opposition. It'll be the Directive Advan car, the Shogo Mitsuyama and Nobitsuru Taniguchi, another 2-driver team in second, and the little Toy Story Racing MRS, MR2 as we would call them, Morio Nita and Shinichi Tagagi. They are actually they were close together on the track. We haven't seen them.
There you are, the finish in the dark in terrible conditions. Just time to tell you that the next races are coming up from Motegi or Topolis, and in the end, a return to Fuji. We're at Motegi for the start of the race. Sebastian Philippe with the number 100 Ray Biggs on pole position. In GT300, the Privé Zurich will start from the pits. This is the 7th round. 300 kilometers on this circuit, which belongs to the Honda firm. And Ray Briggs gets off to a good start in front of the number 6 Mobile 1SC and the 35 Open Interface SC behind him. The traffic building up though, a tricky circuit. In GT300, there was a good start for the number 62 Wilcom 408R in front of the number 11 Jaime Center Ferrari and the 110 Total Benefit Boxster. We'll join our commentators with the battle for 4th place. That's taking place between the number 35 Bandai SC430 and the 18 Takata NSX. The first crash in the GT300, a minor one involving the Ferrari Jim Gain. But very soon, we'll head to that battle for 4th between the 35 Bandai SC430 and the 18 Takata NSX. First of all, our commentators will be talking about the number 35 driver, Peter Dumbreck.
We're assuming that the first stops will probably come around lap 25. It's a 53-lap race. They might make them a little bit earlier. 63 laps, I should say. They might make them a little bit earlier if they find the heats affecting the tyres. They can then judge what the tyre wear is like, how they will set their pace for the second part of the race. Expecting it to go to about 2 hours as Mishigami gets the run now on Peter Dumbreck. They're coming down the last stretch out of the hairpin. Mishigami's got the line. He's on the inside as they come down into the 90 degree. That's turn, yes, and he takes position. That's 4th place he takes from Peter Dumbreck. So another change of position, and that's Naoki Hattori, Dumbreck's teammate, looking up at the screens there, seeing the pass. The NSX that 10 kilos lighter, perhaps that's making the difference. Maybe it's down to tyres. Bridgestone runners up ahead, 1, 2 and 3. Dumbreck on Dunlops. Any combination of these could give the edge to that green Honda NSX. So back to the present, and there are the positions. Raybrigg NSX, Mobile 1 Lexus, Open Interface Lexus, and the Takata NSX as we return to the GT300 fight. There's the Lamborghini now, the second of the 2 Lamborghinis. This is the Trike Japan one. This is Koji Yamanishi on board that car, and he's being monstered at the moment for 9th place by the Ford. So the Ford, having moved up into 10th, now climbing all over the back of this Lamborghini. 6-litre V12 Lamborghini up against the 3.5-litre V8 powered Ford. The Ford, of course, very much state-of-the-art car now. Lamborghini Murcielago beginning just perhaps to show its age. It's a 4 or 5-year-old car compared with a brand new Ford there. Lamborghini, though, as you can see in straight line, still has the outright speed, and indeed the sister car, the Actio Murcielago of Marco Apicella, taking that win in Suzuka at the beginning of this year. Ford desperate, the Ford team, the DHG team, desperate to get that first win. I don't think it's going to be this afternoon, though. It was just too much of a penalty being sent from pole to the back of the 26-car GT300 grid. There's the endless Advan Nissan, car of Masa Ami Kageyama. It's certainly a big story in the GT300 championship standings that the championship leaders lost their sponsor, lost their drive when Direxiv basically collapsed. It was a Japanese company set up to try and promote one of the new Formula One teams. They didn't get the contract, and Direxiv then pulled the plug on their GP2 involvement, also pulled their plug on the Super GT involvement, and left the championship leaders in their VMAC without their team. They have swapped, though, from Directive to another team. Well, this is one of the Porsches off. That's a 70 car. This car, one of the tail enders, Yoshimo Ishibashi. You can't invent a name like that. In the Advan Porsche GT3, gone off at the hairpin as this fight continues between the Murcielago and the Ford GT. So you're asking where our championship leaders, GT300 championship leaders, have ended up, having lost the Directive drive. Shogo Mitsuyama and Nobutaro Kaniguchi, they have moved across to the R&D Advan VMAC team. So it's the same type of car, same team, same drivers, but new sponsor and new chassis for this weekend. There it is, in fact, just looking at it now. That Porsche still beached at the hairpin. As we look at the Scheiden being caught up now, the Violet Lightning car. And this again, the fight for GT300. Ferrari F360. Really putting the pressure on now. Tetsuya Tanaka at the wheel. This car on Dunlops. The VMAC ahead of it on Yokohama tyres. Through the S, where Ralph Furman lost position to Toru Takagi a little earlier. And up the back stretch into the hairpin, turn 9. So 22 of the 26 starters still running. That 23rd place rodeo car in the pits at the moment. All sorts of problems. 3 of them have gone off now. Ferrari again having a look down the back of the VMAC. Both cars powered by V8s, a 4.5 litre M-Tech, what was Mugen V8 in the back of the VMAC. A 3.4 litre Ferrari V8 in the back of the Gym Centre Ferrari Dunlop. Gym Centre, incidentally, is the Tokyo-based international language school. And this car last year actually put an M-Tech engine in, the same as the VMAX got at the end of last season, try and get an improvement. I mean, fancy trying to change an engine on a Ferrari. It didn't work. And so they are back to the Ferrari 3.4 V8 this season. It's paying dividends this afternoon, isn't it? They're really on the pace here, running second in the GT300 class as the Raybrig NSX continues to dominate GT500. Sebastian Philippe of France looking for a first win of the season from Pau. Best so far, a second place in Okayama. He's beating the points though in every race but one. And a win here this afternoon would certainly boost his chances of taking the title this year, although they've got a long way to go to catch up with Mikael Krum, who started this race on 64 points. Philippe is 41 points down in 10th place, he and Shinya Hosokawa. Back to the GT300 battle then, just 0.3 of a second between the two of them. 50,000 crowd in this beautiful autumn sunshine here around Motegi. Circuit, of course, still hosting IRL racing on the oval. And the Formula Nippon comes here as well. Formula Nippon, incidentally, headed at the moment by another Frenchman, Benoit Trullier, who won the Suzuka 6 hours a month ago with Kazuki Hoshino. Well, we're going to take another break. So stay with us on Motors TV. We'll be back at Twin Ring Motegi after these messages. We've had no less than 6 different winners in the 6 races so far. Are we going to have a 7th different winner race this afternoon? At the moment, Sebastian Philippe, who's not won a race this year, is leading overall for the Raybrig NSX team. He's leading the race from the Open interface, Tom's Lexus of Andre Lotterer, and all the Lamborghini's off. Big mistake there by Yamanishi. Got a wheel off and a lot of smoke. I think he locked up, but look how much distance the Ford's gained over. Here we are, here it is again. I think Yamanishi just ran out of talent. He goes wide, he's left his braking too late, he locks up. Big cloud of smoke comes up as he hits the brakes. Watch this, there we go, that's a lock up, and he runs wide into the gravel and loses a lot of time, and the places are coming back on. The Raybrigg NSX, which he is sharing with Shinya Hosokawa. That's the car behind it over. Here's the second place car. The open interface Tom's Lexus SC430 of Andre Lotterer. He will be handing over to Juichi Wakisaka when they make their first stop. So early stops by some of the GT500 runners, as we saw from lap 21 onwards. This is lap 27 we're on now, and we're still waiting for our first and second cars to make the stop. In comes the 23 Nismo car, the Zanabi car of Sugio Matsuda, Satoshi Motoyama. Quite a lot of front-end damage. The car has been given a warning flag, so the team's going to have to attend to some fluid leak from the front. We presume an oil cooler or perhaps a radiator's been damaged in that. We didn't see what happened. The car obviously had a fairly hefty collision. Carbon fiber front end, and of course that creates problems for other traffic because there's shards of carbon fiber all over the track after that. So not a lot happening here, not a concern. The fueling's been done. They're going to have a look at that front, see what the damage is. They're surely going to take the front end off the car. And there at the moment is Ralph Furman's car and the Zent Suprema car. Both these cars have made their stops. Yuji Tachikawa taking position away from the car that Ralph Furman had bought in. That car going back a place now. In goes the Zanabi Nismo car. Pushed into the garage, and they'll be doing work on that car now for the next few laps, I guess. But here at the moment is the Zentsurumo car. Tachikawa on board, and all the work that Ralph Furman had done, keeping that car in 7th place, now starting to show itself as a problem. Takata Dem NSX, Ryo Mishigami comes in. Takashi Koguru will be taking that car back out. This Honda team, efficient as ever, jump on the car. Team run by Toshio Suzuki. Team Honda Racing, one of two cars, the Arta NSX of Ralph Furman. The other car run by the same team. Again, rear tyres only after the fuel's gone in. It's a quick stop, 29.8 seconds. You need to get best part of 100 litres of fuel into these cars. So Takashi Koguro rejoins in what should be about 5th place. We'll see as he completes the end of that first lap. So we're looking for our race leader at the moment. He has come out then. The two leaders, their positions unchanged, but the Bandai car that Peter Dumbreck handed over to Naoki Hattori, trying to get down inside the Takata Dome NSX. It's coming back there. There is the 3rd place, as was car in GT300. The Wilcom Advan VMAC. Currently running behind the Gym Centre Ferrari Dunlop and the Porsche Boxster. And again, Naoki Hattori on the attack in the Bandai car. This is for 10th at the moment. It's a virtual 10th because our race leaders, 1st and 2nd, have yet to stop. Others have yet to stop, and they will find themselves moving back up the order when that comes. Still very hot here. Sun appearing in parts of the circuit now. As we look at this battle going on, V6 Honda against V8 Lexus Toyota. Lexus only finding its way into Japan really this year, although the Lexuses are built there as the upmarket Toyotas. It's not been a brand on sale in Japan until this year, and of course big in America. Lexus having been past Grand Am champions. And still Kogure keeps that down. In comes the Advan. Nissan rejoins the battle. It's the Budoni car of Masata Yanagida, Seiji Ara. Now there's a story behind that car. Eric Comas, who has been driving that car this season, he has decided to retire from the sport. He's had back problems, suffering from lumbago, problems in the small of the back, and he has handed over his drive to Seiji Ara. Ara, of course, joined Comas and Yanagida in the Suzuka 6 Hours, finished 5th in that race. So Comas dropping out of the championship after being in it for many years, twice champion, of course. That was the Ford GT we just saw making it stop, now way down the order after having several problems during the race, including a drive-through penalty. We still don't know for what. This battle then goes on between the Takata Dome NSX and the Bandai Supra. And the Honda now, it's got its tyres heated up. Remember, changed rear tyres only. Seems to have now got the edge over the Bandai car. Quick spin there for, is that the Zomotal car? That is the car of Richard Lyons.
After the pit stops, it was the number 66 AAA Saab Supra GT, driven by Andre Uto, that has taken the lead, just behind the number 100 and the number 36, trying to get back into the race, but the traffic really badly slowing them down. Dealing with back markers, an essential part of every form of motorsport, no less so in Super GT. Well, let's see how this one shapes up as we head off to rejoin our live commentators.
4.5 seconds. Yes, as we suspected, that gap is opening up now. And the Ray Brigg car, that's a car at the wheel, carving through, comes up behind the GT300 leader. That's the Jim Gaynor Ferrari. So that is our first in both categories. Here's second in GT500. 500 horsepower pushing out from the Toyota V8 underneath the Lexus SC430 hood. 32 laps completed by our race leader. The virtual race leader, because this car at the moment has not yet stopped, the AAA Saab Supra. That's the car of Andre Couto we just saw. He's just going past the little Amamiya Aspara Drink RX-7. This is the little Mazda that my colleague David Leslie and I always tip as our car that we most like to see win. One in Sepang this year. Problems then for The car that Ralph Furman started in this race here at Twin Ring Motegi. Daisuke Ito walks away from the Arta NSX Honda. We hear a wheel nuts come off, the wheel with it, and that car's race is over. The car that won in Sepang will not be scoring any points here today. This car will, though. The Takata Dome NSX of Takashi Kogure, started by Ryo Mishigami, running in 5th place at the moment. Through the S, pretty violently, kicking the wheels up over the curbs. 4th he is now, Kogure. Been locked in a big battle all afternoon with the Zentsurumo Lexus of Yuji Tachikawa. Here in 3rd place. Incidentally, Eric's son, Anthony, look out for that name, Anthony Comas. He's going to be racing in Formula BMW in Britain next year, so watch that name. Another son of a famous father, trying to make his mark in racing. Well, as the laps wind down, just 2 to go, and Hosokawa pushing as hard as ever. The best lap of this car was a 1:47.5. Well, he's running 49s at the moment, even though he's got that 15-16 second lead at the moment. So not giving up for a moment. There is Sebastian Philippe looking extremely pleased with their progress, but of course also very nerve-wracking, counting down these last 2 laps. This is the time you start hearing noises when you're at the wheel of the car, and things are going to go wrong. It hasn't been the best of races, has it? Sun comes out, though, on lap 61 of 63, just to shine on the Raybrigg Honda. It's been a little bit processional this race, very little change from the start. First and second cars starting in 1st and 3rd places. It's going to be a good afternoon for Ferrari as well in GT300, as Shinya Hosokawa goes into his final lap. Sebastian Philippe still watching from the pits. There's a position change coming up. Yep, the Mobile 1 SC car goes through. Just gone past the Takata Dome. That's a change for 4th place. So Kataoka goes past Takashi Kogura. And swapping places the last 5 or 6 laps, those 2 cars. So at the moment we're looking at Honda, Lexus, Honda and Nissan, our top 6. But the 100 car only has a half lap to do now. It's going to take a famous win. There it is behind the Ferrari, which is going to take an equally famous win. Only the 3rd win ever for a Ferrari in the history of the Japanese GT and Super GT championships. The Raybrigg car 17 seconds now ahead of the open interface Lexus, and the Ferrari of Tanaka and Naoki is 23 seconds ahead of the endless Advan Nissan. So quite big victory margins for both classes this afternoon as the 300 kilometers comes to an end around this 4.8 kilometer Twin Ring Motegi track. Round 7 of the Super GT series. 2 to go after this. Autopolis, and then Fuji, and the bright autumn sunshine. Shinya Hosokawa, Sebastian Philippe take the win, their first of the season. Shinya Hosokawa's first ever GT500 win after his 2 GT300 wins last year. He'll be delighted. So will this man on board the Ferrari. Tetsuya Tanaka and Takayuki Aoki are about to become GT300 winners. They just won, in fact, because they were just behind this car. And Nissan taking 2nd in GT300, and the Vilcom VMAC, which started from pole in GT300, takes 3rd place.
We're at Autopolis for the start of the race. The number 18 Takata Dome starting on pole for the very first time this season. It's all very open, with just a couple of rounds left to go in the championship, and anyone can become champion. There's the Takata Dome, number 18, starting on pole. The first time this season. And the Takata Dome gets off to a decent enough start. But without wanting to give away too many secrets, the leader would get into a little bit of trouble later on, which we'll be able to follow with our live commentators. For the moment, all is green in the garden of the Takata Dome. But that is all about to change, and you'll see how the events unfold rather dramatically on your screen as we rejoin our Super GT racing experts to take you through this one.
Yeah, a big jump by him then. Well, just to remind you about this circuit, we have been here before, 4.7 kilometres, 12 turns, and probably the most variations in elevation of any circuit they race on. Actually built inside a volcano here on the southern island of Kyushu. Cost of $500 million in the late 1980s. Went bust, and look at that. Ralph Furman takes the lead going downhill.
He really was wound up to do that, and the Takata Honda, the number 18 car, really is struggling. Set off very well from pole position, but struggling. There's a big accident in their car 101. That's in the GT 300 category, and he's had a very, very big off. That's a long way from the circuit. You can see that's extensively damaged there.
Yeah, that's Mario Nitta in the Toy Story Toyota MRS. Hope we'll see it again in the replay, but as you say, GT300 already compromised there. That car, in fact, was starting from 5th fastest on their grid, 4th fastest on their grid, and that coming together, I think, was the car that's on the front row alongside him, Kurosawa, and the Ebro VMAC. Anyway, back at the front, big fight here. The 23 car now, there's Naminismo. Sugeo Matsuda has come through into second place. Look at that, and there's the Ray Brig car, the Takata NSX, and the Zent Toyota Lexus behind that. But a big fight going on here. I don't know what Mishigami's problem was. Maybe tyres this early on. Of course, they have to use the same tyres at the start of the race they used in qualifying. Qualifying was pretty hot.
Yes, very warm indeed, but the guys really did get down to it. The top 10 having their shootout as normal. And Takata Dome, as we've seen starting on pole, started off there with the other NSX second, with the Arta NSX with Ralph Furman on board. And the Ray Brig car, number 100, was in third place. And that was the accident there we've seen that sent off that number 101 car, the little Toyota.
Yeah, it was the VMAC just tapped him, and that was it. He was a passenger once he'd turned that car around. There he is. He's walking away from it. Mario Nitta, happily quite unhurt, more concerned about his car as they normally are. But I wonder if they're going to get a penalty for the for that VMAC. It was a bit of a shove there.
It was, and you know, when the speed these guys are going, you can see just how quickly they are around the corners. If you decide to leave the circuit doing that sort of speed, then yes, it's going to hurt a lot. You're going to hit something fairly hard, and unfortunately that's what happened to that little Toyota. He hit the barrier, ran alongside, and it was a long way off the circuit before it stopped. But the marshals doing an ever good job of managed to get it hooked up onto a recovery vehicle and get it towed to a place of safety out of the way, making sure that nobody else can come across and catch them again with it.
So Ralph Furman, Norfolk and Tokyo's finest, now way out front here. This is the race, as we said, he won last year together with the guy he's showing of today, Daisuke Ito. Of course, they have won this year. They won in Sepang earlier this season, and the man who started from pole, Ryo Mishigami, he's been pushed back a bit. What's his second pole of 2006 after starting off that position in Okayama? But it's very, very tight at this end of the season, and the weights are absolutely huge for some cars. Richard Lyons and Mikhail Krum are carrying 90 kilos. I mean, that's a passenger on board, David.
And it's a very large passenger in actual fact. You know, most people weigh less than 90 kilos, so therefore that's quite a lump of weight that they're having to carry with them on the car, and it certainly does slow you down. If you, I know from driving experience, put a passenger inside your car, all of a sudden you can certainly feel the difference. and that's what they've got bolted into their car. And it's in the passenger seat as well, because that's where you have to have the lump of lead. It all goes in a set place, so it's the same for absolutely everyone. And when you're carrying that much extra, it makes life that much more difficult, both for stopping, because you try and stop that mass as well, and then when you want to accelerate, especially if you want to accelerate up a hill, because this circuit here at Topolis is not flat at all. It does have quite a lot of gradient in it, and if you want to accelerate up a hill, pulling that extra weight really does slow you down. So when you're carrying 90 kilos extra as the number 22 Motul.
We're looking at the one of our favourite cars here, the little Amaya Drink Mazda that's been so up front all year. At the moment he's running in second place. There is that yellow car there, just behind the Scheiden and just ahead of the Ebro VMAC, which has just been passed by the Huzan Nissan Z for third place in GT300.
That's a really great battle in GT300. There's 4 cars there, all nose to tail, and right behind that another couple of them just waiting to get on there. Right at the very back to the Ford GT that's joined the series this year. But this GT300 battle really is raging. The first guy seems to have sort of like gone off on his own. He really is on a mission this weekend. He was qualifying in pole position quite comfortably, in actual fact, some 0.6 of a second faster than anybody else, but the number 96 Edbro 350R was in second place, but the Mazda starting in third, but now running in second with one of the Nissans in third place. That's the number 96 car in fourth place.
Yeah, we are hearing, by the way, that the Ebro car is going to be given a drive-through penalty for that first lap collision with the Toy Story Toyota MRS, which wrecked the little Toyota, caught him in the back, spun him round into the wall on the first tour of the race, and so expect to see that Ebro car coming into the pits for a drive-through very quickly. It'll break up this battle a little bit. It's rather a shame because we've got such a good fight on our hands. But at the moment, Taku Banba, that's the man in the silver Nissan who's really on a mission, and he's in third place. Just ahead of him is the Amamaya Aspera Drink RX-7, Tetsuya Yamano on board that at the moment. They won at Sepang in that little yellow car this year, and they're looking for another win this afternoon. But this Scheiden that we've been watching all year, David, this beautiful blue car, Japanese built, Toyota engined, and really is impressive. I wonder if this is going to be the future of GT300 racing.
Well, it's certainly different, and now you see it there at the front, just going through the screen in front of us there, and it looks very different to everything else. Most of these other cars very much based on everything else, what looks like a road car, except the Schneiden, who's now managed to get himself out in front. Schneiden has done very well during the year. It's right up there in the points towards the head of the GT300 category, but it does look that much different to everything else. It doesn't look like a road car, it looks more like a pure race car. But already you can see the leading cars coming through and lapping some of the slower cars. There's a Porsche getting lapped by 2 of the Honda NSXs in third and fourth place. Absolutely nose to tail, those 2 cars. The Artica, the Raybrig car and the Takata car.
Yeah, so good stuff here, as you say, and still out front at the moment, Ralph Furman doing a good job there, but we hear that he's got some problems now. It sounds like he's getting going to be warned about some problems at the back of the car. Something's flapping around on it, some of the rear bodywork apparently. There's been a collision with the number 23 car, and we're going to see if he's going to get a signal to come into the pits fairly soon. They give you the orange disc flag, don't you? That's the one.
Well, for a few laps, there's been a huge battle between the number 23 and the number 100 car, bidding for victory, the 2 of them. Let's follow the very final lap of this race with our live commentators.
That suddenly you've got to get a 30-second penalty. How demoralising is that for the team standing on the pit wall? But he's not going to be able to get past this car and pull out 30 seconds in half a lap in order to...
No,
try and to win the car, but I'm not sure how far back the other people are.
I think 53 seconds was what I saw the gap earlier on, so with a bit of luck.
So maybe he may even be able to hang on to his to a podium position.
Yep.
But the green Takata car has obviously got a problem of some sort, having dropped back. I think maybe he's had to just back off a little bit, save some fuel to make sure he gets the car to the finish rather than keep pushing, trying to get past this Nissan. And I'll tell you what, this Raybrigg car is doing everything he can think of. He just was quite happy in third a couple of laps ago, and then all of a sudden now, it's like he's got a new lease of life, that somebody suddenly plugged a battery in and switched it on, and he's just taken off. He really is all over the back. And can he make it? No, it's right behind. He's managed to finish second.
Well, after the conclusion of this race, the final standings didn't prove to be quite so final. Number 100 Ray Briggs losing a place. That was a decision of the race judges. The winner in GT3, the N2, Privé Zurich. After the break, we'll join our commentators for the last round in Fuji once again this season. And we'll be joining them near the start of the race. I can tell you that when we do rejoin the action, you'll see that it's the Epson NSX leading the race.
So much happening early on here at Fuji. It's always the same. Lights ablaze, as you might think, and they're all going to start thinking about making their compulsory stops fairly shortly. It's going to be around about the 30 lap mark, we're assuming, and they should be done and dusted around the 40 mark.
Yeah, lap 7, and they're already catching up with the GT300 back markers, and it get mixed up very, very quickly here, just as they do, of course, in Grand Am and in the American Le Mans series. So no difference there. So the Epson car still leading from the Bandai Lexus, the Woodoni Nissan, the Yellow Hat Nissan, and a bit of a fight going on here. That's the Takata car, the Takata Dome car, and the just going around the outside of that Zanabi Nismo, the car of Matsuda and Motoyama. That car running way down. That's got the turbocharger still in. It's the 3-litre V6 turbocharger. And as we just mentioned a minute ago, next year Nissan will go to V8s as well. They'll follow the example of Toyota stroke Lexus with a 4.5-litre naturally aspirated car. And the reason that Mikael Krum and Richard Lyons are using that today is they're not in contention for the championship, so it's a good chance just to try it out on a 300-kilometre race.
Fantastic test bed, and why on earth not see where the limits of the engines are? If you test it to a breaking point, well, why not do it in competition style? And there is the 23 car, as if by magic mark for you.
Well, that's Sebastian Philippe in the Raybrigg Honda there, pushing him off. Well, that won't go down well at race control. We've already had Ralph Furman dished out a penalty. Here we are, and see it again. Now, I don't know what Tsuge Matsuda's doing, but he's just very, very early on the brakes, and Sebastian Philippe decides to dive inside the front of him and have a go. And of course, Philippe, our championship leader, that could hurt him.
Certainly could. The 36 car one to watch as well. They've been vaulting up a couple of positions, moved up 2 or 3 since the beginning in the hands of Lotterer. Fabulous environment for them to do it here. As you can see, look at the crowds here, screaming them by every single time. No wonder they're having to post that lottery mark as the 100 car comes by us here and rumbling with that fabulous sound generated by these machines.
46,300 is the official crowd figure today. That doesn't count the ones who are looking over the fence down at the bottom end of the straight where the circuit entrance is. So it's still that Raybrigg car climbing up the old little bit in 10th place now. He started in 11th, so it's only one place he's gone up. In fact, with 2 cars dropping out, or certainly one dropping out and Ralph Furman being delayed, Philippe has gone backwards, hasn't he? Not forwards.
Absolutely backwards, but the Sebastian Philippe, well, a class act to say the least, and well, he's at the top of the rankings with that NSX. A lot of talk, Mark, here before the race started, saying that the Lexuses would be the favoured vehicles here, particularly with the long straights, and certainly some cars not happy with the environment, and I think it's the technical side towards the end where they could possibly catch up.
Yeah, well, it's the biggest engine, of course, 4.5 litre, lots of torque there. Remember also, this is Toyota's own track, and the Lexus cars, Toyota cars, do all their testing here, so they had... Yes, just to remind everybody, by the way, GT500, GT300, there's always a drive-through penalty there for the 100 Raybrigg car. What's he done? I don't think we saw that, did we?
Well, drive-through penalty for the 100 car. I think it's due to contact, and it's with the 23 car, the Nismo Z. So
that was the Coca-Cola we saw earlier on, wasn't it? So that they've obviously deliberated long over that. We did see that contact probably some 10 laps ago, and they've caught up with him now.
Well, they've finally caught up with him, and it's going to be a heavy price for the 100 car. Leaders, don't forget, in the championship coming into this one. What on earth will that do? Mentally, certainly, but track position and points are what it's all about here. You just can't call it, Mark. We've got to this point of the season, 12 points only covering the top 8 cars, and this is the sort of incident with a drive-through penalty where the marshals just play a significant part. They've been desperately trying to play catch-up here, didn't get the best qualification run that they'd hoped for, started down in 13th position, missed the super lap, but been desperately trying to fight their way back through the standings. The rankings. And look at this, talking about slipping away. That Lexus, which we were talking down just a little while ago, still holding his own. The Z just can't close. Has done though, it was 0.191 last time around. Oh, and has a look.
He still can't make it stick, can he?
And look at that,
as he tries.
the 7 car again has a look at the Ford GT, just can't get by either. Unbelievable stuff. Yeah, NSX in the way, I think he might use him as a foil, and he's got him, but the Ford fights back here. Absolutely brilliant coming down the start-finish straight. It's so long here. Talk about alternative lines. And look at that.
It's pitting. The Ford is pitting. Why so late?
Problem, presumably.
Why so late?
Coming in the 55 car, and that has left the number 7 in 7th place, Mark, on the door, knocking on the door of the championship, but the door's still closed for the time being.
Yeah, but the Scheiden is only 1 car place behind him, remember, at the moment. So in GT300, that's their main problem. They must finish 2 or 3 places ahead just to get rid of those 4 points that the Scheiden has over them. Big bundle here, look at this.
How much room can you possibly need, or indeed ask for? 4 into 1, does it go? Well, it seems so in GT.
Yeah, bits of rubber coming off the cars there. Here, though, is Hideki Muto, and look at that. His lead now has really extended. It's something like 30 seconds. He's really benefited from the fight between Hattori and Seiji Ara. 2 laps to go then, and everything to win here. This is the car that is going to take the championship if he can take this, hold this place just for these final 2 laps. Andre Lotterer, one-time Jaguar Formula 1 test driver, a British Formula 3 runner, a young German who has made his name in GT racing in Japan. He is about to become champion with his teammate Juichi Wakisaka.
Well, what must they be ruining in the NSX camp for the 100 car? They missed the super lap, and they've missed out on the title by the looks of things here, Mark. An absolute disaster for them this weekend here in Fuji.
Yeah, and if Wakisaka and Lotterer can take that title, who's going to be second? That's the other point. I think, looking at the GT300 points, Sebastian Philippe and Shinya Hosokawa, if they finish where they are, they will finish second overall for Honda.
Well, talk about letting yourself be known. The 7 car is on the climb and wants another piece, and wants that RG1, the 88 car. He wants that scalp. He needs that scalp if he's got to get a chance of the title here, Mark.
Right, well, here is the car that is going to win the GT300 title. If he can stay where he is, he's only got another lap and a half to go. There is the Scheiden. Here comes Muto, Hiroki Muto, over the line. Got 1 more lap to do now, and this will be it for him. Their first win of the year. The 2 rookies in the championship. Great job by them in The Satoru Nakajima run, Epson car, another ex-Formula 1 driver from Japan. Great season for them in the Epson car. That's really going to make a great finale for Honda.
Well, great finale for Honda. Certainly, we're on to the last lap here, and what stories suddenly unfolded in Fuji. Unbelievable. We have got to leave very, very quickly after this one, so let me just tell you that bad news it was for the 62 car here, Mark.
The 62 car?
Yes, the 62 car, out of gas on the last lap, and that essentially moved everyone up one place. And what did it do to the number 7? Essentially, it put them into 6th position.
Well, even as you say it, what did we see just then? A big problem there for someone. No, it's the Epson car, but someone else is having a problem. Was that the Scheiden we saw?
Well, nightmare scenario as far as some of the teams are concerned here. We've already seen the 100 biting the dust earlier on, essentially, out of their race moves. But in the GT300, the 62 car running out of gas and starting to crawl, and that effectively moved the entire field up one position and put the 7 car in 6th place, Mark.
Right, well, anyway, for the moment, GT500, the Epson NSX, Loic Duval, Hideki Muto, they take the win. And as you can see, the Scheiden's still running. He's still got another lap to do because they haven't quite been lapped. So we'll be able to concentrate on the GT300 battle now for their final lap. But a great win for Epson there. No bearing on the championship, nor for these two, the 2nd and 3rd places. And changing place again around the last two corners, banging wheels again. Great stuff here as Naoki Hattori and Seiji Ara fighting as they cross the line. They change position on the last lap and they come across the line 2nd and 3rd. Bandai from Wudoni. So Honda, Lexus and Nissan finish 1, 2, 3 here, but the championship goes to Andre Lotterer, Juichi Wakisaka, together with the team's championship to Tom's Lexus.
Yes, that 62 Stalling effectively handed the title to the number 7 car in the GT300. They moved from 7th to 6th place, and on the count back, they beat the 2 car. Both finished on 86 points, and amazingly, the title went to the 7 machine. The little RX-7 held its own.
Well done, Carlton. We got through it. Mark Cole, Carlton Kirby, goodbye. See you next year.